we live? Chat? Chat? Can you hear us?
Oh, we're live. Look at that.
We had a couple technical hiccups yesterday, so I'm hoping everybody can see us and hear us right now. Anyway, 'twas the night before Draftsmas, EJ. One of our favorite days of the year because all the hypothetical scenarios that we have thought up in our head for the last, 4 months. This is the last night we get to enjoy those hypotheticals because they go away tomorrow. Players are actually going to be drafted. We're going to see what the actual team fits are. We're going to see the financial ramifications, the position battle ramifications, the schematic fits, all the actual stuff. Huh?
Your mic might not be perfect, says chat.
What? Hold on.
Hockey says you're using the wrong mic.
How is that possible?
I believe Hockey's.
Well, in the meantime, give me your spiel while I fix this.
My spiel is Happy Draftsmas, everybody, and let's fucking go. I'm wearing my homage shirt from their Wolverine and Deadpool collection because it's a celebration for us. We have been head down. I don't know about you. I think we talked about this. I can't even remember what day it is. I think we talked about this a couple of days ago. I have watched draft prospects outside of the couple of weeks I was sick when I got back from Shrine Bowl every single day since like December 15th. And yes, that means all Saturdays, Sundays, birthdays, holidays, you name it. I have not gone a day without watching draft prospects since then. And this is the celebration of that. I know that doesn't sound like something to celebrate, but for us it is. We actually finally get to see what's going to happen. And there are a lot of rumors out there. We'll talk about a lot of those. I can't say I could confirm any. I can definitely say that I know that I know that a lot of people are talking to a lot of people, which is, standard operating procedure.
I mean, the Bears are either going to be at pick 5 or at pick 25, and we don't know which one yet.
Oh, but yeah, exactly. Right.
And also, did I fix my mic? I think I figured out what the problem was.
Can already tell he fixed his mic. There we go.
Yeah. For some reason in OBS, I had it coming off the FX3, which I don't know if you guys know this, but the internal mic on the FX3, not very good.
So. No, it's not. I have done a podcast on that very mic on mine. Yeah. Sounding much better. Thank you, Hawkies. We appreciate it. We love you, chat. Chat is fantastic. And this is chat's time of year to shine, too. They get to try and lure us into believing that seventh round receivers. Yeah. Lure us into believing that seventh round receivers have been picked in the second. That's just the way that it goes. So
I just know that they're gonna have Elijah Badger be the guy this year.
Oh, he's you did that.
Top 30 pick. Let's go.
You did that. That's your fault. I am taking no credit for Elijah Badger being pushed up the board. That's all you're doing.
He's good, man.
I didn't say he's not good, but there's good, and then there's, oh, damn, you've got him there? Okay. For those of you that aren't patrons, our draft rankings have been dropping. Positional rankings have been dropping since Sunday night. We are about 2/3 of the way through, not quite. We have 12 total positions, and I think 7 of them are currently posted. I think that number will be 8 after this stream because you just finished quarterback. So
I did.
We will be dropping those. We have been dropping those. We'll continue to drop those. They will all be out before the draft. But basically we give you the top 8 players at least in each position. And since there's 12 of them, ends up being well over 100 players because just like our streams and our podcasts, we tend to go a little bit long. And so sometimes we write up 15 guys instead of 8. So there's a lot of good, fun information packed in there. All new stat tables at the top of those this year. Stats that we think really matter. It's not just all their stats that you can find anywhere else. It's the ones that we think really help tell us if they're useful players and how they'll be utilized in the league. So if you're not a patron, check those out. I don't know if I told you this, Brett, but when I started publishing those on Patreon, I found out we can post those as individual items now for sale.
Really?
Yes. We can just put a price tag on an individual like wide receiver sheet and say, hey, if you're not a patron, but you want to check it out, you can pay us, I don't know, whatever, $3 or $4 and you get to see it.
That's interesting.
And that's new on Patreon. So we might do that. We haven't done it yet because I didn't have time to figure it out, quite frankly. But
also, like, how do you price that?
You just type it in. You just individually.
No, I mean,
drop
like,
it
how do you?
I have no idea.
$1?
Yeah, I don't know. So
It's like,
we'll see. But no, they're dropping. They're a lot of fun. They're a ton of work, but they're worth it because they are one of the few things that I routinely go back to, even years later. Now that we've been doing it for 2 or 3 years, and you can go back and very quickly get a summary of the top of the class, right? Who had how many yards? What was somebody's, missed tackle rate? What was somebody's contested catch rate? What, where did I have that guy? Was he fifth? Was he seventh? Was he in the second tier? Was he in the fourth? And it's a very easy summary to go back to for me when I get asked on a podcast, like, oh, where did you have that guy? And you're like, if you don't remember right off, open up the draft ranking sheet. It's all there for you. So.
by the way, I only did write-ups for 5 quarterbacks because I could not will myself to do any more. No pun intended. I got to Will Howard at 6. I got to Howard at 6 and I was like, I can't fucking, he's a 4th-round quarterback. Like, what are we doing here? So basically all the ones I thought would go day 1, day 2, I did write-ups for. And it's so funny too, because as I was writing up Milroe, it kind of clicked in my head of like why he might go earlier. Like as I was doing the write-up, I was like,
100%.
I was like, I kind of get it now. Like I kind of get it. Like once you put the words out there and you're talking it through in your head, you're like, I get it. He's super explosive. He's a great kid. He's super coachable. And I had this epiphany that, like, that thing he does where like he's under pressure and he drops his eyes, and then he escapes from pressure, and like he's not very good in terms of when he looks back up of like seeing where the space is developing. He almost looks like surprised by where the coverage is now, a second and a half. And I was like, he is so athletic that every time he popped his eyes back up after escaping from pressure, he just turned on the gas and ran because that was the easiest thing to do. And so he never really got reps in terms of, finding space and
stay with it.
And I was like, I think going back to what Jaden Daniels was 3 years ago to what he is now, and how Jaden Daniels had a similar issue because he was so freaking athletic that he could just run anytime something got hard. And how Jaden Daniels did like the VR reps at LSU that like really taught him how to sit back there and like identify space and find space and attack space. I was kind of thinking, I was like, if they did that with Jalen Milroe, like while he's just developing,
while he's just hanging out,
like, can you imagine? Again, I talked this through while I was doing the write-up today. It was like, if he goes to the Rams at like 26, he doesn't have to play. And like the Rams are a forward-thinking organization that would do that for him, just giving him thousands of VR reps where he can learn to sit there and find space and identify space. I was like, son of a bitch, like that could work. So I kind of got it the more I talked through it with myself.
It's one of the most valuable things about doing these sheets. Like, again, this is one of the most difficult exercises that I do every year. I think it probably is for Brett as well, because you really do have to focus. It takes a lot of effort, but you do have these moments where some of those write-ups just come right off. You kind of had them all written up in your notes anyways, and you just sort of paste and make it sound good. And then, some of these write-ups you're going through and I'm looking at the stats and I'll have highlights on and I'll be writing and I'll kind of connect these random data points or see something else, which seems impossible after all these hours of tape study. But you catch these little glimpses and go, oh, wait, like the one thing that would make that work is, or I get it with a guy like Milroe who has, look, if you're digging around the bottom of the barrel for, developmental quarterback prospects, take a guy with an elite trait. Mm-hmm. And he is an elite runner. Just case in point, I'm on the quarterback sheet now. Rushing yards, 879. That's second in this class, strangely enough, to Riley Leonard. But rushing TDs, first, 20. Rush yards per attempt, 5.9. But rushes of 10 yards plus for a quarterback, he had 30. Riley Leonard had 25. And then the next guy, Jackson Dart had 28, which is, again, a surprising stat. Riley Leonard had 25, and then it drops all the way down to 14. So talking about, couple of spots on the chart gets you from 30 to 14. He is an explosive runner. He is an elite athlete. His arm is great. This is not a lame-armed quarterback in any way. It's about focusing that and getting it to the right space and having the targeting computer shoot that cannon in the right direction all the time. And when he does, and he does on film, it's not to say he never does. When he does on film, you see it. You go, oh, okay, that would be capable of competing with the quarterback super weapons in the NFL. It's just that he doesn't do it all the time. And we see a long way between here and there, but things like VR reps can shorten that distance. And if they do, whoever does that and picks him wins big.
I want to start off our questions with Hendog, who's waiting patiently for this to start. Thank you, Hendog, by the way, $10. Appreciate you. Hope you're feeling better, by the way. Hello, bootleggers. Who is ready for my Chiefs to draft Kelsey's heir apparent in the 3rd round and Chris Jones' eventual replacement in the 2nd with a corner in the 1st? Trey Amos, future Kansas City Chiefs legend. If I'm going to peg them for a 2nd round DT to be Chris Jones' heir apparent, God, who's even going to last to like 63? I don't think Omar Norman-Lat's probably going to be gone, right? I think so.
No, it's the guy that physically reminds me of Chris Jones, but does not play like him. So.
Oh, you're thinking Alfred Collins?
Yeah.
I would probably go more Jared Harrison Hunt there, but again, late 2nd might be earlier than he's going to go. I think he might go in the 3rd round, maybe like late 3rd round, but as far as the Kelsey heir apparent in the 3rd round, can I interest you in a lightly used Thomas Fidone? Knee injuries and all?
His knees, oh man, I do not want to see that medical dossier, but boy, his hands are tremendous. My favorite thing about Fidone is he is one of the rare players, especially coming out of college, that is open even when he's not open.
Yeah.
Time and again, he got thrown to. Well, I mean, he's already going to be used to having Mahomes at quarterback because he's got Raul.
Right? I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
He's got Mahomes cosplayer at quarterback. So, I mean, he's used to it already, but he built his quarterback out over and over again, even when covered. And he's not always covered. He can separate and does, especially on crossing routes. But little short routes, guys draped all over him, threw him the ball anyways. Very high contested catch rate. Really good body control around the sidelines. And I was really surprised. I don't know if he lost weight for the combine so he could run faster or what, but he did not look like he was 240 on tape, like 242 or something, which is what he weighed in at the combine. He looked like he was 260 on tape. He is a big frame dude. So he's got a frame that can hold more weight. But just a great hands catcher. I like the routes. I don't think his field in space is quite as like, Travis-esque, but there's so much to like with him. As long as his med's clear, I really like him because he's going to be his next quarterback's best friend, no matter who it is, because you can just always throw him the ball.
Slense for $10. Thank you, Slense. Giving my money to the Draftsmas Alcohol Fund. By the way, Braden Swinson kicks ass. He's my Edge 5. I was going to drink for this stream and then realized I'm going to be drinking for the next 3 days. So I'm dry for today, but I will be drinking the next 3 days. So I appreciate you contributing to the fund.
Yeah, that's right. We will need it down the road. I'm not drinking tonight either. I'm just drinking LaCroix because we have to write more draft rankings.
Yeah, I got to go through all the corners and safeties.
Yeah, so we'll put the fund to good use, just not right now. But thank you very much. And yes, Braden Swinson is an absolute dog. I think he's my favorite edge discovery in this class. Like, again, as you're going through and we're doing all these rankings and we're doing tape and whatever, I got to Braden Swinson and I was like, okay, LSU edge, like athletic. I looked at all stats and I started in tape and I was like, wow, this guy's really versatile. He's long, plays with power. It's not that he's a superlative. It's not that he's the best edge in the class. It's that he's a really good edge that can do almost everything well. And, he's got good length, good height, good athleticism, good speed when he starts rolling, can set the edge, which you need to do as an edge. Just really liked him and was like, wow. And he was one of those guys you kept putting him in the stack and like, no, he's better than him. No, he's better than him. No, he's better than him. And, early on, he was like edge 3 for me when I'd only done like 5 or 6 edges. I was like, okay, I thought he was going to be lower down and he stayed there. Like he had staying power. So he didn't end up there, but he's really close.
He ended up, I think it was somewhere between 5 and 7 for me. Cause I haven't broken out into tiers.
At, let's see, 6, and I have him at 5.
And keep in mind, like when I have guys in tiers, it means they can go in any order. in that
That's correct.
in that tier, right? So,
Yep.
like, I do think he's going to go after Ezeraku. I think he's going to go after Green. I think he's probably going to go after Scorton. But after that, I mean, considering the maturity issues with Iman Mielen and Pierce, and the lack of pass rush production from Michael, like, he could probably go after Scorton. So he could be the 4th edge taken, or he could be the 8th edge taken. I have no idea, but probably
I would
somewhere
not
in
be
between there.
surprised to see him if the Bears retain pick 39. Like, he's in play for sure.
I also really like his teammate Savion Jones too. He's
good
he's
too.
awesome.
I've got him as a defensive end because he doesn't drop into coverage as much. But the two of them, the fact that they were bookends on the same defensive line, like, hardly seems fair. Like, those guys are what a lot of people thought the Texas A&M line was. And no offense to Scorton, I like Scorton a lot, but the other guys were not nearly as effective. And then you got Jones and Swinson on the same line, and you're like, wow, they're both kind of wreckers.
Isn't it remarkable how much great talent is at LSU that Brian Kelly can't win with? He has a gift.
Yes, it is.
He truly has a gift for,
I would agree,
underperforming. Alex Tracy for $50. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate you once again. Happy to have you here for another year. This is like what, year 4 or 5 that we've seen you for our draft streams at this point. But again, blessed to have you back with us. Excited to spend another draft with you guys, and thankful to spend the rest of my birthday watching the Draftsmas stream. Happy birthday to you, Alex. What is your late day 3 wish for your favorite team? I'd love to see what B. Moore can do with Desmond Watson with the Pierce retirement. Desmond Watson's that 400-pounder from Florida, or 450 maybe?
That's correct. He is
Florida.
the round mound of rebound for the Gators.
I'll let you do Bears and I'll do Texans, because
That's fine.
You shouldn't do double Bears, but I'll let you do Bears first. Your day 3 wish.
Oh boy, I think day 3 is going to be so exciting. You all know me at this point that I love day 3 anyways. I started 10 years ago being a UDFA minor, and it's I think there's going to be so many talented players down the board. It's all about who lasts, right? Because some guys that you think are going to be, people are swearing right now, oh, he's an early day 3 pick. He's a 4th rounder. Nope, that guy's going to go in the 6th or 7th because the teams have very even valuations. And you're going to look up in the 6th and 7th round this year and go, holy crap, blank is still on the board. Like, and I don't care who it is, whether it's a tight end or a corner. I think safety's got a lot of stuff. DTs, there's going to be good DTs that don't get drafted.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's 40 of them. Like, you're not going to see probably 40 DTs get drafted. You might see 35, but that still means there's 5 or 6 more good DTs before you get to guys that would typically be UDFAs, guys that went to smaller schools or whatever else. You're going to have big name guys who are going to be, calling teams saying, look, pick me in the 7th, or else I'm going to go play for your rival and make your life hell. Let me pull up my players list real quick for the Bears.
So for me, for the Texans, I really want Joshua Gray on day 3.
Oh, yeah.
Center, guard, don't care. Don't care which
State.
one. Like, they could use both.
Yeah.
Center or guard, like, he's really, really physically gifted. He's whip smart. Great
I'll just
dude.
go Essa then. That's easy.
Yeah.
If you're going Joshua, I'll go Essa Pole from Washington State, who would be, a great developmental tackle. And I think he'd fit right into the Bears program. I actually think he's going to get drafted, but if he'll get drafted. If he's there at 233 or whatever the Bears pick is, way down there, like, I would happily spend a pick on that, because for the same reason that we talked about Milrow, if you hit on Esapole and he gains a little bit of strength in the upper body, he's already got the feet and he's got a great head on his shoulders. Like, in 2 years, you have a starting left tackle that you drafted in the 7th round, which the Bears have been pretty good at. They got Leno in the 7th round. Braxton Jones was a late rounder. Esapole could be the next one.
Yeah, I think Braxton was like a 5th rounder or something like that.
5th or 6th, yeah.
And he's about to get $20-something million. Yeah.
Up 24 right now.
Not bad. Jack Hunter. Happy to get to Jack before he has to go to bed, because it's like 3 a.m. over there.
Oh, huge shout out to Jack. Jack emailed me at 5:45 a.m. my time today to tell me that one of the links on the positional draft charts wasn't working, and I fixed it. So all of you that can now see that one, it's thanks to Jack.
Appreciate you, Jack. Morning, gents. Excited about another draft with you both. What do you think is the player-to-team fit that would ruin the league for everyone else?
Ooh, great question. I don't love
really good
I don't
question.
love Josh Simmons to the Chiefs.
Oh yeah,
That would be bad. Josh Simmons
for everybody else, it'd be great for the Chiefs. It'd be bad for everybody else.
That's what I'm saying. Is he's an elite pass protecting left tackle, and if he ends up there and ends up being able to stay on the field health wise and off field wise and whatever else, he will be a lockdown left tackle for the foreseeable future. And that is not good news for anybody trying to knock the Chiefs off their pedestal.
I'll give you one, but it's one that you actively want to happen.
Oh.
If Ben Johnson puts his nuts on the table and says, we're going up to 5, we're getting Ashton Genty.
Correct.
That is a problem for the 31 other teams in the NFL, because that's the missing piece of this offense. Like, that's it.
They're going to hurt people with that combination if the league allows it to happen. By the way, this is relevant. So what would you pay to go to 5?
From 10.
Yeah.
So because it's not for a quarterback, it's not going to be the most expensive. I think you could do it for 10 plus a second this year and a third next year, probably.
What if I told you that the current offer hasn't been accepted? This isn't even verified. This is maybe likely
floated.
Sort of the offer. 10 and 39, which is their first second. They also have 41, so they're really not missing a whole lot. For 5 and 107.
They wouldn't do that. There's no way Jacksonville would do that. If Jacksonville does that means they're trying to trade down twice.
Yeah, it's a favor at that point, and there's no reason for a brand new GM to give anybody a favor. So I think that would be the starting point of the negotiation, and things will change from there. It's going to have to be sweetened, but I'm with you. If Ashton Genty goes to Chicago, and yes, I do actively want that to happen, Ben Johnson is going to bludgeon the rest of the league with him. That is going to happen.
And if they don't go up to 5, I think they go down to the 20s and they try to ransom, a tackle or something that you can't get in the 20s to one of those
You mean the
teams.
4th tackle off the board at 10? Because that's probably going to happen, folks.
Get them while you can.
Yeah.
Telly Lee for $20. Thank you, Telly. Appreciate you. It's draft season, baby. Let's go. Great seeing you, Brett and EJ. Kenneth Grant to the 49ers is a great pick for your mock draft, but do you think the 49ers will draft O-line at 11 if one of the premium guys fall for some reason? I think for Banks, they would consider it. Membu, they would definitely consider it.
Sure.
Campbell, yeah, I think they would consider that.
Yep. They absolutely would. He'd be a very good fit in their system.
I'm trying to think, is there any other tackle that they would
You know what I think happens to the 49ers, though, that got floated today, not as a fit for the 49ers, just as a random draft nugget from somebody I reached out to this morning and said, hey, anything spicy? And he gave me a list of like 5 things. And one of them was Nolan goes early.
Walter Nolan.
Correct.
I mean, he's their type.
Right. And I was like, okay, to who? Because there was no team attached to it. It just said Nolan goes early. Didn't say when early. And for me, that would be the first half of the first round instead of the second half of the first round. And I was like, oh, San Francisco. So I would not be at all surprised. I would not be at all surprised to see Walter Nolan instead of Kenneth Grant be the pick and get to go work with Chris Kasarik. And that would be, it's not going to break the league to the previous asker's question, but it's not going to be fun for people in the NFC West. Walter Nolan is very good and Chris Kasarik is elite. So yeah.
All I had heard was that Nolan's floor was 24 and goes,
well, yeah, right.
Like he's not getting anywhere past that. So like the dreams of him going to the Eagles at 32, like it's not going to happen.
I don't think so.
His floor is 24 with the Vikings, but he's probably going to go significantly earlier than that.
Yeah.
Like, I think
He's a very good player.
Very easily go 20 to the Broncos, 19 to Tampa. Bengals are obviously a natural fit. Shit, Cardinals, Falcons. I mean, there's too many teams that need him.
Yeah, and he's too good
for him to not get there, right?
And he's too good. And if you say that Harmon's shoulder is dinged up, and so he's not really in the running for, I'm not going to say first or second or third DT off the board, like Nolan is definitely moving up a notch. Like there's no way he gets farther.
But specifically for the 49ers, if I had to prioritize one of the offensive linemen versus Kenneth Grant, I'd probably go offensive line, but that's just because my philosophy is offensive line over everything. And they're all really good, and they need them. They either need an improvement at right tackle, or they need an heir apparent at left tackle, or both. So you might as well do it. Nathan for $50. Appreciate you. Nathan Woolley back once again for another draft this year. Happy Draftsmas, boys. I'm not going to be able to be there tomorrow. I'm visiting my grandparents, but I'll be there Friday, which to me is the most fun day of the draft. So it's good that you'll be there for that. Any late round prospects you're higher on than others? I think Seth McLaughlin and Torrey Horton could go late day 2, early day 3. Well, I think you and EJ agree on Horton going late day 2.
Both, actually. I really like McLaughlin as well. And again, if O-line, center's always tough because center seems to be unhooked from the rest of O-line when we talk about O-line will go early. We know the tackles are going early just because this isn't the deepest tackle class. Mm-hmm. Guard, there's a lot of really good guards in this class. So I think you can wait and get some guards, but centers, it gets thin again this year. There's only a few like dedicated centers who've played center, who have some really good tape at center. McLaughlin does, as long as again they're comfortable with his medicals. I think he could sneak into the compensatory picks on day 2, the end of round 3, because there's a lot of them. Remember, that's not a 30 pick round. It's like almost a 50 pick round. So, if a couple of centers are off the board right at 100, right? That's where round 3 ends. Like somebody could definitely go, I don't want to wait to day 3. I need one. And again, we're happy with his medicals. Horton, oh man, I had so much trouble placing him because I love him to death, but I can also see why the league's going to be a little bit cooler on him.
Yeah.
But I just love the way he plays. He's got a ton of demonstrated production. Last 2 full seasons he played, he had over 1,000 yards at Colorado State. By the way, his quarterback's pretty nice at Colorado State. He's going to be a guy we're going to be talking about. You remember how Josh threw when he came out of Wyoming? All arm.
Yeah.
Put all that torque on his shoulder and just all arm. Same throwing motion. Like he's got to go to the same coach.
Not quite the same gas, but I could see mechanically.
Not the same gas, but the same motion. Like you look and you're like, oh God, that was the reason Josh stopped throwing like that. Is because it puts all that torque on his shoulder, but he can generate a ton of velocity. He's a lot of fun there. So both of those players I love. Late round players that I like better than consensus. Who did I just put in there yesterday? There was
for what position?
I think it was inside linebacker. Let me just pop.
Is it Jack Kaiser? Because I'm pretty high on Jack Kaiser.
No, I noticed you're high on Jack Kaiser. I think Jack Kaiser's a really good floor player. Like I think he's where he's supposed to be. He's assignment sound. I don't think he gives you a lot. He doesn't elevate your game, but he's not going to hurt you as a backup, which is probably where he's going to be drafted. So I think he has real value there. You're higher on him than I am, but not by a ton. I mean, it's not a great inside linebacker class anyways.
I'd venture to say, now that we know that Jihad Campbell is
damaged
Swiss cheese on the inside, it's not a good linebacker class at all. It really is not.
The star kind of fell off the top of the tree to keep with the Draftsmas theme. Who was it? Oh, I really like Bruner, and I knew I liked Bruner. But then he kind of fell off my radar, and he was going to be in my also rans. And then again, doing the stack, doing the grids, going back through the film, and really, I was like, no, he's better than him. No, he's better than him because he has a superpower. He's excellent in the pass game, but he gives you more than that. He plays well at the line of scrimmage. He's super tough. Right or wrong, NFL decision makers love NFL lineage. His dad played in the league. And he's quick. He's really good in tight coverage, which is tough to get as basically a will linebacker. But he also loves screaming forward and really smacking people. He's got a little asshole in him. He he's the kind of guy that likes to hit people, land on top of them, and he's going to have to tone that down a little bit in the league. But linebacker coaches are going to love it. So Carson Bruner's a linebacker I'm a little bit higher on than some other folks. Not crazy high, but somebody's going to pick him on day 3 and be really happy when he has to start playing.
I'd probably go Konatab Mumpfield at receiver. I really, really like him. I think he's an excellent separator. He's not super fast as far as long speed goes, but his first 10 yards are really, really quick. He's super loose in the hips. I love his feet. Like his route running style is like very much like early 2000s and one mixtape. Like I don't know if he played basketball growing up, but he just moves like a basketball player. I really, really like him. He's a dog. And then I would say, day 3 I'm higher on than others.
Caden Prieskorn. I really like Caden Prieskorn, the tight end from Ole Miss.
Yeah.
He's, Memphis.
They're going to have like 12 dudes drafted this year.
I know, and he's not going to get drafted early. He is definitely a day 3 guy, and he's going to come in and surprise people because, again, he's got a little dog in him. He loves to run downfield. There was a reception from Trey Harris this year. He's going down the right corner to the end zone. Here comes Caden Prieskorn and just obliterates some defensive back who was kind of thinking about getting near to Harris. He just massacred him, and I was like, "Yep, it's in there." But he gives you a little bit more in the passing game than I think, you would think by looking at his stats. And there were definitely times that Jackson Dart just chucked it up in his direction and he paid it off. So again, not like, oh my God, he's going to take over the world, but like somebody's going to pick Caden Prieskorn. He's going to be their TE3 to start. Somebody's going to get injured. He's going to be a very solid TE2 for a while, I think.
I'd also go Zeke Biggers. Zeke Biggers.
Oh, do you like Zeke?
I love Zeke Biggers, man. He's good.
Okay. We saw him at Shrine, and I
became
enamored.
I became enamored that week. And remember, he had, I think it was an appendectomy like the week before Shrine practices.
Oh, well, that would be why.
And his agent was like, you shouldn't play. And he's like, fuck that, I'm playing. So he practiced the entire week, just in a ton of pain. And soldiered through it. But I thought he had some really, really good reps. Especially when they were doing the scoop replace drill. I was like, damn, he's got an anchor. And then I went back and watched tape after that because it was the first time I saw him. And I was like, I really like Zeke Biggers. He's going to go on day 3. And I got a day 3 grade on him, but I was like, hey, like a day 3 knows that, could come in and be something for you. Like I like him a lot.
Oh, what do you think of Ashton Gillott before we jump to the next?
Man, okay. So he dropped like 10 pounds for the combine, and I think he needs to be at that weight. Like when he was 10 to 15 pounds heavier at Louisville, like he had a lot of pop in his hands, he had some power to him, but I thought he moved so much better after he dropped weight. And I want him to be at that lower weight and be like a full-time stand-up edge. Yeah, and I think he could be something. Like I think he could potentially be either a low-end starter or like a high-end rotation guy. But like he's scrappy, he's got good hips, he's got good feet, he's got power in his hands, but he just moves so much better when he dropped weight for the combine. I was like, just do that. Yeah. Just be that.
Yeah, he was one of my very good surprises as I went through. He ended up as a DE for me because, again, he's not a coverage guy, averages less than a coverage snap a game. But going forward, he's a menace. Like, I really like the way he plays.
Kind of weird he didn't go to an all-star game at all.
That I thought was really strange. I was like, oh, well, he must. No, he didn't. And there's a few of those guys. You go through bigger program, and it's like the third guy in a group, and they just didn't. Like, all they really did was the pro day. There's a couple of those guys that didn't even get the combine. And you're like, oh, I'm looking through the combine list. He's not here. What? I got to go to the pro day list? Oh, shout out to Alex Katzen. Our buddy Alex Katzen does the best pro day list. Most comprehensive. Love it, love it, love it. He's going to do some work for us for the draft as well, just as he's done in years past. Huge shout out to Alex. He's the man. If you don't follow his work, very easy to find. Go check him out. Well worth a couple of bucks a month on Patreon to get. If you're into the draft, you will absolutely find information that you will find useful there.
Echo for $10. Thank you, Echo. Welcome back. Hey, boys, can't wait for tomorrow. Have you watched Caleb Etienne from BYU? He's met with a ton of teams, and he's a 6'7", 330-pounder with 36-inch arms, and a 9.23 RAS. Worth a look if you haven't. I have not seen him. Have you?
Yes, I know Echo is our BYU like radar. If there's a guy that plays at BYU that's good, he will send them to us, which I deeply appreciate, Echo. That is not a shot. That is a cool. Now I know about all the good guys at BYU. He sent us a corner. Etienne is, in my mind, a ball of clay. I didn't see a ton there when I watched him. I didn't go super deep. Like, this is a cursory, like, hey, let's take a look. There's tools upon tools. Those guys, again, in this draft, like, he could get drafted for sure. Again, people are going to throw darts in 6 and 7, and it's not always going to be where you think it is. But if somebody's familiar with his coach or recruited him and really wanted him, and now they're a pro coach, like, those are the kind of guys that get picked on those kind of things as opposed to slipping into UDFAs. So
sounds kind of like a Stoutland guy.
Well, I think it's a lot of just coach, because coaches, right?
Yeah.
You can fix them. I can fix them.
Some of them actually can.
Yeah, I know. They all think they can. Some of them actually can.
Cure for $2. Thank you, Cure. And also preemptive thank you to you for the next 3 days for running the draft tracker, which, by the way, we have an underdog availability map in that little square right now, but tomorrow that's going to be filled with a live draft tracker, team stats, information, upcoming free agents, all that kind of stuff. So we'll have that ready to go tomorrow in that square, but that's a nice little placeholder for now. And Cure, among all my mods that may or may not be watching this right now, did an excellent job building all that. So they are getting presents from us as payment for that. Am I wrong for thinking Campbell is Skoronski-ish?
I think I know the connection that you're leaning at.
As in should be guard?
No, as in like everybody thought he was going to be better, and was sure that he was a tackle. And then, some people, I thought he was tackle. I had him as one of my top tackles, which is one of the reasons that I'm a little cooler on Campbell. Because I'm like, oh yeah, I see the similarity. I'm with you. I get the same vibe. I do think, I'm not going to say that because I was really high on Skoronski as a tackle. I thought he could do it. And I'm not sure that he can't, but he's not going to get the chance to at this point, unless he goes to another team, something.
For me, I think Campbell has better movement skills. Skoronski had better core strength.
Yep.
So I would say they're
and I also felt better about Skoronski's potential transition to guard. I am not at all on board with Campbell's transition to guard. Everybody's like, oh, it'd be a guard. And I'm like, I don't think that works that way. He stands so upright right now. If he gets you in zone run concepts with his hands and his arms, he's very powerful. And he controls you and he turns you and it works great. That is very, very different than lining up, 3 inches away from a 330-pound guy and rooting him out in any sort of interior concept, whether it's inside zone, whether it's duo, whether it's straight up man gap. That is not the same thing. And he cannot physically do it from his current stance. If he plays guard, he cannot play from his current stance.
It's not possible.
Right. It's just leverage wise, he's going to get smoked. So everybody's like, oh, he's a guard. And I'm like, are you sure about he might be. He's super athletic. He probably pick it up, but have we seen any evidence of that? And we haven't. Again, the people that are working with him, Duke and everybody else, they probably have. But again, Duke was resolute that he's a tackle, so maybe not. Maybe they've been like, no, you're not practicing that guard stuff. We're keeping you a tackle. And again, this is the great thing about the draft. I mean, among many other things, is we're going to get to see what the league thinks of that. Not his team, not his former coaches, not his teammates. What does the league think of Will Campbell, right? Where he gets drafted, where he goes, and what they say about him in the opening press conference is going to be very telling. Nope, he's our left tackle of the future. Okay, well, you picked him at, 4. Okay, probably is.
Oh, wait, can I set this to super chats only? Oh my God, I can. Oh, thank God YouTube added that. Again, just how the sausage is made. StreamYard doesn't let us do that, so I'm really happy that we did OBS today. I didn't think that used to be a feature. I think it's a new thing now, where I can set it to only display super chats. All right, that's handy.
And you'll lose less of them. I'm so excited.
Well, I was panicking because my chat just crashed and reset. So I was like, fuck, I just lost all my super chats.
Oh no.
But I
Now
got
there
them
they
back,
are.
so we're good.
Nice.
JJ for $5. What's your boldest prediction for tomorrow? Mine is Bills running back at 30. Also can see Giants trading up for Milroe. I can definitely see the Giants trading up for Milroe. That actually wouldn't surprise me that much. I think maybe they favor Dart if I had to guess, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's Milroe.
I would be stunned because that staff, that entire staff, including the GM, is on its last legs. And if they don't win this year,
That's fair.
You'll be chucking Milroe to the next year, which they don't really care about. But I also don't think they can win with Milroe right now. Of all the quarterbacks, like that would not be the move. So if Dable had like 3 years and he had a leash, absolutely I could see him saying, hey, I see a lot of similarities in a young athletic quarterback that I can work with. He doesn't have 3 years. He's got this year.
So maybe that's where the Milroe to Steelers smoke comes from, because it's like, well, Mike Tomlin ain't getting fired.
Right.
So
yeah, I think he can lean on, never having a losing season to not get fired. So, yeah.
As for Bills running back at 30, I brought that up to Bills fans a while back because of the whole James Cook thing, and to which they said, we already have 4 running backs. We never take them in the first round. Never going to happen.
Well, they did re-sign Ty. If they hadn't re-signed Ty, I would have said there was some chance for that. But he played such a big role for them down the stretch.
For me,
and they did re-sign him. So
it comes down to one question: who's there? Because if let's just say the impossible happens, and Omari and Hampton's there at 30. Like, you're telling me they're not thinking about it?
Oh, they're thinking about it
for
sure. But I was floating Omari and Hampton suggestions today, and yes, his absolute floor that the person I was talking to said, look, if he's there for the Chiefs, like, Josh Evans is nice and all, but they're taking Omari and Hampton. And I was like, okay, I can see that. But the Bills could pip him if he's there. And for everybody saying that Omari and Hampton won't be there, one of the teams that has been largely mocked for taking having a running back mocked to them, not being mocked for taking a running back, does not have Hampton as RB2. So the sort of slot that everybody's thinking
EJ, who's that?
Who's that? Who's that? It's another blue and orange team. Yeah. They do not have Omari and Hampton as 2, so he might be there longer than that. Doesn't mean he'll be there at 30, because he's a very talented player, and other teams could have the same sort of revelation about, like, well, we were going to take this guy, but we didn't think Hampton was going to be here, so we'll take him and come around to whatever we were going to do in the second round.
I will caution you, though.
Yeah.
Sean Payton is a dirty, dirty liar. So anything that we think we know about Denver,
dirty liars. At this point, they're all dirty
liars. I know if we're hearing the night before the draft that the Broncos prefer Travion, it's because they want us to hear the night before the draft that they prefer Travion. So we'll see. Right. We'll see. Yeah. Wouldn't shock me though. Joseph Armstrong for $5. Do you think the Bengals would go DL and then RB in the draft? Dan Hort / Dave Lapham vaguely indicated that it's BPA, IOL, or DL at 17, and they need a running back. I think if they do running back, it's probably third round at the earliest, because their trench need is so desperate.
Yep.
Whichever one, whether it's pass rusher or pass protector, I don't really care at this point. But like, they need a guard real bad, and they need pass rushers real bad. So it's either Gray Zabel or insert pass rusher here, and then we're rocking and rolling.
Yeah, I think they're going to find. I mean, Zabel is the one exception, and he probably will be there. So if they like him the best, I could see that happening. Outside of that, I think they're going to find better value at DL in round 1. And running back is going to be available down the board. So I think the way it's going to slot out is DL in the first, and Mike Green is a very popular slot in player right there. Then, like we said, there's lots of guards in this draft. So they'll be looking at the pairing of guard and running back, or running back and guard. Which one do we think we can get, and which pairing do we like better? But I think there's going to be good value either way. Like, it's not going to be one of those flips that's going to be a super easy choice. Like, we're definitely going to have to go this first, because there's guards I like down the board, and there's tons of running backs I like down the board. So I think it might just be a sort of personality, like, oh, we just like this guard better than the other one, so we'll take him first, and then we've got our choice of running backs.
Joseph Armstrong. Oh wait, I just did that one. Sorry about that. What kind of 2009 Call of Duty ass name is this? NJX Snipes ZXX.
Just poured it over from his gamer tag. Yeah.
No scope trick shot montages are on that profile, I guarantee you. $10. Thank you, Snipes. Appreciate you. Hey guys, happy Draftsmas. What are you hearing around the Chargers? Any surprise rumblings? Chargers are going to be the least surprising team to me because it's just who's the best Michigan player on the board, whether it's Kenneth Grant, Colston Loveland, like Will Johnson if the knee checks out, which it might not. Just like I think when the Chargers pick comes through, all of us are going to be like, well, yeah, duh.
Sure. Jim recruited him once. He just recruited him again.
And if they miss out on Loveland, I could also see them going Fidone on day 2, like later on day 2, again, depending on medical, because apparently when Fidone was coming out of high school, Jim was like obsessed with him. Oh my God, recruited him extremely heavily. So
stalked.
As much as you can stalk a teenager.
That's correct.
Don't clip that. Don't. Jacob Leone for $5. Thank you, Jacob. Hey guys, thank you for all the football content. A question from a Syracuse fan. What are the thoughts on McCord, LaQuint Allen, and Jackson Meeks? Well, EJ, you're our resident Q's fan here. I'll let you take the lead on this.
I was going to say, I can talk about all those guys quite a bit. I would put them in that order. McCord is going sooner than people think because he is better than a lot of people think, I think. And I've heard so many teams say, "Oh, well, if we don't get what we want up high quarterback, we're gonna come back around to McCord. He's not going to be there." Because so many teams are thinking that. Some team's going to do it first, and the other 10 or 15 that are thinking about it are going to go, "Oh, we thought that was our." He's a great quarterback. So I think some people will be surprised where he goes. I, for one, will not. LaQuint Allen is great. Brett's actually higher on him than me, which I love him. Necessarily think was possible. He's a great pass protector. He runs a little upright and he's tall, so it looks like he really runs upright because he's just over 6 foot. He is a weapon in the pass game. Had like 60 receptions this year. Really one of those running backs that you have to look at in a balanced way because his rushing totals aren't super high, but he's a great pass protector and he's a great pass receiver as well. And you kind of have to roll it all together and go, man, that's a really useful guy that I don't have to take off the field very much. So I'm certainly higher on him than consensus. I'm not as high on him as Brett is. But I think when we get into that, let's just call it the third tier or the third day tier of running backs, somebody's going to see a lot of value in LaQuint Allen. Great competitor, great kid too. And then Meeks is funny for me. He is physically awesome. Like we got to see him at Shrine Bowl. And first thing I was like, is that Jackson Meeks? Like up close, he is built like for a receiver. He is a big dude. I think he's a good receiver as well. But I didn't end up with him kind of on my board. Now my board does go like 35 deep or something for wide receiver, and he still didn't end up on my board, and I like him. I think he's a talented guy. There's just a lot of receivers this year. But I do think he's probably going to end up, he might get picked because he was in an all-star game. A lot of guys did get to see him. He had a great season statistically. But he's kind of on the borderline for me. He's going to be a late day 3 pick or a priority UDFA. If he's a UDFA, he's getting a call like before the 7th ends. Like that kind of thing.
The thing that kind of works against him is like he was the 4th best skill player on his own team. You know, because Pena was sick. Aronde Gadsden, super talented. Allen, again, I'm very, very high on. And then, again, good player. But that Syracuse offense was amazing.
Yeah.
It really was. As for McCord, I just need him to listen to the devil on his shoulder a little bit less. And again, I'm actively choosing to ignore the Pitt game because it goes against all of my priors. But, boy, he got himself into trouble in that one. His ratio of throws with way too much dip on the chip is probably higher than everybody else in this class. But he's a talented kid.
It is.
He's a good guy. Yeah. He's smart. Like, I like him a lot. And then Allen is like the ultimate third down back in this class. He's a dog in pass protection, one of the better pass protecting backs in this class. And to be honest, I think he's probably the second best one after Travion Henderson. And like you mentioned, really good receiving threat as well. So like he's going to play in the league forever because he has 3-down utility. And I think he can play special teams as well. Like I think he's awesome. I love Allen. Let me see. Next one here. Huh?
I love the next one. The next one's great.
It is. I'm scrolling. Dane B for $5. $100 if you change your mock to have the Cowboys pick Shamar. Sincerely, an Eagles fan that wishes to see the fan base riot.
I'll pay you $5 for $100. Okay, sweet.
Is there a more polarizing player in this class than Shamar Stewart? I'm not sure there is. Like even more than Shador, more than McMillan. Like just nobody can agree on this guy. And you know, maybe all of us are going to be wrong because he's going to end up somewhere in the middle and like just be okay. But God, if the Cowboys take him 12 overall.
Oh my God.
With like any of the receivers, Golden, McMillan, Ibuka, I don't care. I don't care which one. Or Omarion or insert offensive lineman here.
Yeah.
If they take Shamar over any of those guys, what are we doing?
No, I'm not down with it. Yeah, I just my chat just reset too, and I just scrolled back through all the super chats. We should probably go faster.
Probably.
Sub-Zero, is it weird how low on Trav I am? I think he's been a media darling for years as a Travis Hunter, and like super overhyped. He's like my wide receiver 4-ish and my CB 5-ish. I just don't know. You're definitely. I'm not going to say it's weird. I'm never going to say anybody's take is weird if they back it up.
But it is low. That's for sure.
It is low, guaranteed, and it's lower than just about everybody I've talked to. And yeah, there's a lot of groupthink in draft circles, but when you really sit down and watch what he brings, his ability to bring explosive plays, which are the way the league runs right now on both sides, explosive plays for defense, explosive plays for offense. He can generate either of those like almost at will.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes him insanely valuable. So whatever nitpick you do have about him, and there are, ones to have on both sides of the ball, they get erased by, oh yeah, but he's going to give you 2 picks a game if he's playing corner. Oh yeah, he's going to give you 3 receptions of 15 plus yards and 1 that breaks for a touchdown. So you got 7 points out of him there. Like whichever side you want to play him on, he can generate explosive plays over and over and over.
Maybe he won't get 34 picks in a season, but I think it's fair to say he might be the first NFL player ever to get 10 touchdowns and 10 picks in a season if he gets enough snaps on defense because his ball skills are that good.
Yeah, but I mean, I could see him having like 13 picks in a season.
Easily.
Real easily.
He has to play enough snaps, but like he could do it.
But with a couple games of 2. Like somebody's going to try him early on and he's going to punish them. And then the next guy is going to be like, maybe I'll go to the other side of the field. I saw what happened last week.
The key is to play cover 2 as much as the Broncos did when they had Champ Bailey, when they just let him be a curl flat player and go hunt the ball over and over and over again. Like they played more Tampa 2 than even a lot of defenses that are famous for Tampa 2 in the mid 2000s. Do that with Travis Hunter. Like, even if it's just on third downs, play Tampa 2 every single third down and let Travis Hunter be a curl flat player and go get the ball.
Because he'll break off
his
guy. And he did it on tape lots. Like, that's just demonstrated ability. FPS Gandhi for $9.99. Thanks for mentioning Ponder. I know I'm being a homer, but it's going to be cool seeing someone in the league that wore the green and gold, same as I did a long ass time ago. Yeah, it is cool when somebody from your school gets drafted when that's not a regular thing. You didn't go to a big football school. And
fun fact, by the way, speaking of that not big football school.
Yes.
They're the reason I exist. That's where my parents met. They both went to Cal Poly.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
And again, if you went to Poly a long time ago, if you remember Spikes, my dad's name was on the wall for drinking around the world at Spikes.
There you
And
go.
then they tore it down. But no, I have a soft spot for Poly. That's how I knew about Ponder a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Was because he was a Poly kid.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about draft season is when we mention somebody that's kind of not had any spotlight. I mentioned Coleman Owen, the Ohio University receiver, and like the small schools pick up on that stuff. Like the sports information folks at Ohio picked up on that, and then like their families get involved, and like everybody's retweeting it, and you're like, "What happened?" And you're like, "Oh, their families found it." It's the coolest thing.
I wasn't there when Spikes existed, but I played there in 2015, so there wasn't any crossover between. Yeah, probably not any crossover between you and the early '80s Cal Poly community. My parents still live out there, though. I like to go up when I can.
That's awesome.
Let's see.
All right, Brian Durr, what's up, guys? Happy Draft Day Eve. Happy Draft Day Eve to you, Brian. About to fly to Chicago to enjoy a draft day at Soldier Field. Very nice. Any thoughts on news the Bears could be moving up? Yeah, they're calling for sure.
They're trying.
They've been calling hard for 2 days. I can confirm that. I can't confirm anything beyond that because I don't know, and I don't think anybody else really knows either. But they have been grilling the teams above them about moving up. It's teams always ask, but there's asking, and then there's asking and show me the deal.
Yeah.
And they've been asking with show me the deal for 2 days. So it's real. At first I was like, okay, they're just asking. People like, no, they're asking enough. Like it's probably the second type. And no, they've been asking. They've continued to ask today. So they're doing their due diligence about moving up in a real way. And as far as offers, you never can tell because there's kind of offers and then there's, hey, if our guy's there, what would it look like? Which isn't really an offer. It's a, hey, we talked about that thing. Our guy's still there. Do you want to do it? That's not, hey, here's our package of picks. Yes or no. So they're on that line and they may have, but I don't know anything about that. I don't have that kind of juice.
The reason they're trying to move up, by the way, is because there is a massive shelf after about the 7th pick in this class. And when you're at the 10th pick, and we saw it play out in my mock draft, the difference between the 10th pick and the 25th pick is not very big as far as the grade of the player. So they're like, hey, either we're going to trade up to get above that shelf before it hits, or we're going to trade back to try to get to the lower end of that shelf. And that's they don't want to be at 10 because then you're just paying more money for a similarly graded player to what you can get later in the first round. So that's why I think they're trying so hard to get out of there. And we'll see if they manage to do it. I mean, it's possible. Like if the Jags really have wanted Mason Graham this whole time, they could go back to 10 and still get him.
Yeah,
I really think
that's what
they're
trying to do.
Yeah.
Again, there's so much smoke and lies going on right now, especially right now. I heard that some high-level folks at the Jags told some high-level folks at another team that Genty was going at 5. Like that was a done deal, which is exactly what you do if you're trying to drum up interest to get somebody to come up and take him.
It's also not a lie if it's like, oh yeah, he's going at 5 to Chicago.
Right. Nicholas Coyote for $5. Hey guys, good to be back. Who should the Hawks take in round 1, if any, or day 2 or 3? We would love for them to take Gray Zabel because it would be a really good move for the franchise, and he would be a cornerstone for them on the interior offensive line and solve a lot of those issues that they have been plagued by, much like Chicago, in a different way, but much like Chicago. And he's just a great player. Like he is one of the few guys in the first round that if I picked him, I would absolutely sleep like a baby and knew that I had a great football player and I'd just be moving on to day 2. So I would say Gray Zabel, given John Schneider's propensity for how he spends draft picks, I don't think it's probably going to happen, but if I was taking somebody, I would take Gray Zabel and be happy about it. Just suffer the slings and arrows of fans that don't like, interior offensive line players in the middle of round 1 and move on with a very good football player who's going to play for you for years.
I truly believe that if Kenneth Grant is there at 18, he is a Seahawk. I don't think he will be there at 18, but I think if he's there at 18, he is a Seahawk. I don't think he gets past them at all. Not just because of, familiarity with the system and all that, which he does have, but they need a nose tackle. And they have, Mike Mack literally came out and said, we want to get a nose tackle. We don't want to have to force Byron.
Here's my thing about that. Yeah. Here's my thing about that, though, because, yes, they absolutely do want a nose tackle. And, yes, there's familiarity. when can you get nose tackles?
You can get them
real
on
nose
day
tackles.
2, but if they don't think they're going to get CJ West, you might as well just get Kenneth Grant.
In this D tackle class, I think you can get him on day 3.
If you're thinking like Cameron Jackson from Florida, you could
Or
you could go that route.
Horsley, or I mean, there's so many guys that, like, if you're looking at somebody and you don't think you're going to get a guy, I'm not saying Gray's able, because I really don't think the Hawks are going to pick him. If they do, I'll be thrilled, but I really don't think that's their target. But if they're looking at the receiver talent and whatever and going, what are we going to get later on, or what can we get now? And they think they can only get whatever in the first round. They can, again, with this defensive tackle depth, they can come back in the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, or the 6th and get a nose tackle. Like, it's not going to be Kenneth Grant, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be a very good player who could work in their system, because, again, remember, Mike Mack's defensive system worked very well with, like, the Raiders, who, every year in, like, round 4 or round 5, they grab that absolute block of granite, and you're like, oh, yeah, but he doesn't give any pass rush. They don't care. They don't need him to pass rush. He does one very specific thing. He does it really well.
It just feels like there's been a saga for like the last 4 years in Seattle of like the Seahawks defense with Al Woods on the field versus the Seahawks defense without Al Woods on the field. And obviously in the last 2 years since Al Woods been gone, like they just haven't found the new Al Woods.
Right.
So you might as well just do it.
Again, Al Woods, perfect call up, because Al Woods was not a high round pick.
Oh, totally understood. But if you have a problem on defense that you failed to address repeatedly, eventually you're just going to get so pissed off.
Kill it with fire.
You're just going to kill it with fire, man. I really do.
Yeah. No, I don't doubt it.
Looking up the next one here. John for $5. Appreciate you, John. Yep. Thanks for all the draft coverage. Sad news that Steve Mongo McMichael passed. We will always remember his greatness in multiple facets, really. Whether it's acting, football, wrestling. I mean, you name it. Like, he was a singular
larger than life figure,
like,
for sure.
Yeah, actually, that's the best way to describe it. Literally and figuratively, larger than life.
Yeah.
So after this stream, I'll throw on Blazing Saddles while I'm finishing my write-ups. And have a drink for Steve. Toast to him.
Yeah, for sure.
Con Steve for $5. Not Con Steve. Con Steve for $5. League is about to learn Trey Harris is to Jackson Dart what Antonio Brown was to Dan LeFevre. I mean, I don't know if it's that drastic, but
right. But he's not terribly long. For people that are low on Trey Harris, God, I gotta look the game up. But go back to 2023, and there are 2 catches by Trey Harris. One is like a 30-yarder down the right-hand side, and the next one that he catches, which is not the next consecutive play, is a touchdown. And they are both sick one-handers that he was covered on. And then you're like, oh, yeah, he's over 6 foot, and he runs a perfectly acceptable, for high 4.4, low 4.5, whatever it was. Like, and he is physical, runs great routes. He has a great contested catch rate. And then you just watch him do stuff like that. Kind of like it. And he didn't even freak out about it. He just kind of stuck his hand up and was like, yeah, touchdown. And I was like, wait, that's not normal. Right. And then you see all these other, big talented wideouts like struggling to catch the ball or body catching or whatever. And you just add all those things together. And then you see Trey Harris at like 10th or lower on somebody's, wide receiver rankings. Yeah. And you're like, I don't think you're right about that. And it's the same argument that we have with Travis and Shedeur, right? Travis made Shedeur look better more often than the other way around. And I would completely agree that Trey made Jackson Dart look better more often than the other way around. Again, that gap is smaller than the other one we're talking about. But, yeah, they're going to figure out that Trey Harris is really good really quick. I think he's going to be a little – I really think he's going to – different players play style-wise, but I think he's going to occupy that Brian Thomas Jr. slot this year, where everybody a year from now goes, oh, we should have known he was so good. It was right there in front of us. And we're like, yep.
I'd also throw out Jordan Watkins too. Like Jordan Watkins, I think, is going to really burst on the scene and be a number 3 for some team like immediately. Somebody asked about who's the day 3 guy you're higher on than everybody else. Jordan Watkins, I think. I have him higher than Mumfield, actually. I brought up Mumfield. I should have brought up Watkins.
Yeah.
I think he's great. I have him as my – hold on.
Yeah,
1,
Jordan
2, 3,
Watkins
4,
is
5,
my
6, 7,
Braden Swinson on the offensive side. He's that guy that I watched, and then I just kind of was like, no, he's better than him. No, he's better than him. No, he's better than him. And suddenly I was like, oh, wow, I have Jordan Watkins kind of high now.
Dude,
And
I have him right next to Jalen Royals.
Oh, see, you're too low on Royals, but you're good on Watkins. No, Watkins I have very close to Jalen Noel. Noel is higher.
See,
but
you're too low on Noel.
Not by much. You'd be surprised. I'm not that low on Noel. Just means Watkins is a lot higher. Like, again, I was like, man, because as I was stacking him up in terms of what he brings and what we got to see and what we didn't even get to see, like the untapped things that he has. And then I remembered one Saturday in the fall when I was out. And again, I don't watch college football, but I was out and I was watching college football because I was just eating lunch and it was on the TV. And Jordan Watkins had a touchdown and then another touchdown.
It was just the 5 TD game.
Yep. And then another touchdown. And about 4, I'm like, holy crap. And I remember tweeting about it. I was like, Jordan Watkins is just taking this game over. Like every time I look up, he scored another touchdown. And it's not a replay from last week. Like he's up to 3. And then I put out another tweet. He's up to 4. And I put out another tweet. I was like, okay, we're done here. 5 touchdowns a game. And I completely forgot about that whole sequence until I was watching tape like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, oh, Jordan Watkins. I hit that game and I was like, oh, yeah, this was that Saturday in the fall. Got it.
He's awesome. I love him.
They're great. They're great. Both of them.
Willis Honeycutt, again, for $5. Thank you, Willis. Care to do a small version of the, if you miss out on this guy, you could still get this guy way later.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed that video concept that y'all did. I mean, other than Trey Harris and Jordan Watkins. I would say...
okay, I have a couple. Well, one is if you miss out on Colson Loveland, go after Fedoni.
Okay.
Because he's running routes.
Theme of the day, yeah.
Catching the ball. Like that was one that I thought of. I love that concept too. Thanks for bringing it up. We didn't get to do it again this year, but Jalen Nolan, Jordan Watkins, that one works for me, and it won't be very long in between the two, but I thought it might be farther along. Not exactly the same player, but one of the ones I had early on is and you have them both ranked as defensive ends, so it's the same for you. Landon Jackson and Ty Robinson, both tall, linear, bursty athletes. Like, oh, I missed out on him. Well, I'm going to wait a couple rounds and go after this other guy. Alfred Collins and the aforementioned Cam Jackson. Not as much pass rush on Cam Jackson, but like huge, long-limbed, absolute stumps in the middle that can two-gap. Like, yep.
If you're looking for like a Grover Stewart type,
Yeah, Omar Norman Lott, largely because of folks like you, is going to go up high, and Aeneas Peebles is going to go a lot farther down.
I wanted to like Peebles. I really did.
I know, and it's going to be like a 3 or 4 round difference, and no, you're not going to get the same thing, but you're going to get some of the same things. Omar Norman Lott is more efficient with the reps that he did have because people also had a lot of snaps, and Omar Norman Lott didn't. So you look at the numbers.
People's just these long stretches.
Yep.
Of nothing. Like just nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do like an outside spin. You're like, that's cool. And then just go back to nothing.
Ooh, I'll give you one.
Huh.
Mykel Williams, if you miss out on him, and you're probably going to because he's going to go high.
Draft Groot in the 5th round.
Jared Ivey.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Defensive end.
Kinda. A little bit. Kinda.
I mean, some of the same stuff, and honestly, a much more efficient football player in Ivy right now than Mykel, but the ceiling's not as high. So there you go.
I'll give you one.
Go ahead. I want to hear some of yours.
If you don't get Omari and Hampton.
Yeah.
Probably early day 3. DJ Giddens, Kansas State.
Okay, I see those guys as very different players. They're both really good, but they're actually really close on my board.
Incredible physical talents as runners.
Mm-hmm.
Giddens is a worse pass protector. As a receiver, I think they do a lot of the same kind of things as far as like being more yak threats than down the field threats. Giddens, like, he just does not give a shit in pass pro. So, like, I get it. I get the reason why he's going way lower. He does not care in pass pro. But as far as just talent as a runner, he is one of the most talented runners in this class. You just have to be cognizant of and willing to deal with the maturity issues and the fact that he's a 2-down player because he doesn't give a shit. He has the talent to be a pass protector. He just doesn't care. But boy, when he's got the ball in his hands, he is special. Like special runner. And you're going to get him like 3 rounds after Amari and Hampton because of all the stuff I mentioned.
Yeah, we'll see. Can I do one backwards? Can I start with the guy that everybody's talking about that I think should go way lower and say, no, this is what I want higher up? Jaden Blue from Texas.
As in you should have him go higher?
No, that's the guy everybody's talking about. Like, oh, Jaden Blue. And I'm like, have you watched Jaden Blue? Like, Jaden Blue should be a receiver, straight up. And he would be really good at it. He was actually a really good receiver as a back. Like, he has a really high ADOT. He has a great catch percentage. He has a lot of yak in the receiving area. As a runner, he's real fast, but he also has terrible vision. And then people are like, yeah, but you can use him on special teams. And I'm like, yeah, have you watched that? It's the same. He doesn't have great vision. He's really fast. So instead of Jaden Blue, don't wait. Go get Brashard Smith from SMU.
Oh, I think Smith's way better.
See, I did it backwards.
Way
Jaden
better.
Blue is the low guy, and Brashard Smith is the guy that you just shouldn't wait on.
I have Brashard Smith in the same tier as Cam Scadaboo. Now,
Me
they're
too.
totally
I
different
have
players.
them right next to each other.
I do too. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Technically, if we just take the tiers out of it and we're just going in sequential order, I have Cam Scadaboo as RB9 and Brashard Smith as RB10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Did we just become best friends?
It's close. I have Scadaboo as 10 and Brashard Smith as 11. So, yeah, we did. We're on a boat, buddy. Oh. Anyways. Yeah, no, that was a backwards one. You know, player that everybody's talking about that I think should go lower. I think Blue should go way lower, and Brashard Smith should go way up. He is a great player, and he really is that two-way, absolutely lightning receiver threat because he was a receiver. He's converted, much like a guy we liked last year, ended up going to the Giants. So, yeah, there you go. Anyways, fun concept. I think we'll do it next year because I see those things naturally. I can't unsee that. Like, just putting these ranks together and whatever, you're like, oh, if you miss out on him, you could get him 3 rounds later, but go for it.
Jack Girding for $10. Thank you, Jack. As a Chiefs fan, I fondly remember watching your live reaction to CEH's selection. I think that was in our first draft stream ever.
Yeah.
2 moves ago for me. Is there a realistic player you would have a similar reaction to in this year's draft? I'm assuming if you mean going to the Chiefs.
Well, hang on. Well, if it's going to the Chiefs, I mean, Omarion Hampton would be great for them, and it would be a running back, and there's some nice symmetry there. But to the Chiefs,
I would probably say if the NFL fucks around and lets them have a Mecca, I'm going to crash out.
I would be super, super sad about that, but I think Emeka is going to go at 23 to the Packers, so I can be just as mad.
I don't think he's going to get there, but if, the forces of hell conspire against us all once again, and Emeka Ibuka is there at 31, he's going to go to Kansas City, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer there.
I would be so upset. But the problem is they already have, guys that do a bunch of the stuff.
Yeah, I know, but he's better at it. So
I fully agree.
He's just better at it.
You will not catch an argument on that from me. Rafael Castillo, $19.99. Thank you very much, Rafael. Sup, Bootleg. Thank you for all your content. Give us Draft Addicts. You're welcome. I don't know that we should be lauded for supporting Obsession, but it's ours, so now it's yours too. Can you help me understand what I don't see in Travis Hunter that everyone else does? Because I don't think he's worth a top 5 pick at all. Again, it's explosion on either side of the ball. He can turn a game on a couple of plays, and I don't care if he's playing corner or receiver. He can do it either way. And I think a lot of the two-way hype has kind of got us jaded because people want two-way players. Like they want two-way players in lots of sports or players that play 2 sports. Like they love that. We just love that storyline as sports fans. So I think a lot of times they're like, well, yeah, he can, he ran it once, so he must be a running back. And you're like, no, he's a defensive player. Like Travis Hunter has done both at a high level, a ton. And it's about being able, the NFL, you just get less plays than college. Like physically you get less plays. So you have to do more with them. You have to be more efficient. And NFL coaches are obsessed with efficiency. And Travis Hunter is an efficiency force multiplier. I don't care what side of the ball you put him on. He can turn the favor of the game towards your team in a few plays, no matter what he's doing. And that's what makes him so valuable. So you can look at him as a wide receiver and go, oh, he doesn't always run the greatest routes, or, oh, he doesn't have this, or, oh, I wish he was, thicker. Because I thought he was kind of shorter when I started. And then I was like, he's not short at all. Like he's plenty tall.
He is lanky. I'll give you lanky.
He absolutely lanky.
Yeah.
And, you can say that about Torrey Horton and a bunch of other guys, but like you look at his hands, like just his hands, just as an attribute, his hands are unreal. Like, I don't care if he's a corner or a wide receiver. He makes catches that he has no business making, period. Like, very few other people I've ever seen make those kind of catches.
Yeah.
And he does it all the time. Just as one attribute, he's got pretty good speed. Again, you might look at him and go, well, he doesn't have blazing speed. What's everybody talking about? Well, there's a lot of receivers who are really, really good who don't have blazing speed. There's a lot of great receivers in the NFL ran 4.5. And, again, if you can turn a game all the time, not occasionally, not once a season or once every quarter of a season, but like once every quarter of the game, you can turn the game, you're going to go way up people's boards. There's just no way people can lay off that gas.
Just interacting with him at the combine and then seeing, and just, because everybody just was watching Travis the entire time when he was out there during media. And watching him interact with everybody else, I was like, this guy is a robot that somebody built in a lab to be a football player. Like, he is the most all about business football player. And I don't mean like, making business decisions. I mean, like, football is this guy's life.
Yeah.
Like, that is all he cares about. It's that.
And fishing.
And fishing and his girlfriend. But football is like 90% of his life. Like, he is wired for ball. And he is one of the most naturally gifted playmakers I've ever seen at any position. Like, I'm willing to bet on this kid. Because the character
100%.
and work ethic is off the charts. He has crazy ball skills, and he just makes plays. And in this kind of draft, he's the only guy, him and like three other guys, the only ones who I feel really, really, really confident are going to be playing in 10 years. And there's like literally a total of 5 guys in this class. I think I could really say that about. Yep. It's him, Genty, Emeka,
Zabel.
About it. Maybe Omarion. Yeah. And that's about it. that I think, like, in 2035, he's going to be out there on Sunday. Like, it's not a long list. It's not a long list. Let me get here to the next one.
Mike for $9.99. Brett, there was a civil war in the Discord about Shamar Stewart. A peace treaty eventually got signed, but the Jalen Walker 4th overall take started another one.
Oh,
very
God.
Spicy. Very spicy, which actually rolls into the next question pretty well. Connor Van Winter for $5. You are now the Patriots GM. How are you hoping, praying, ? This draft plays out? Appreciate all the work you guys do. Truly one-of-one content. Thank you very much for saying that, Connor. We do appreciate it.
Let's game this out then and combine both questions and have a Jalen Walker to the Patriots discussion to answer both Mike and Connor at the same time.
Right, but you're also going to just incinerate both fan bases here. I don't think that's what they want. If I'm the Patriots GM, my hope, wish, whatever, is that somehow Abdul Carter doesn't get picked at 3. That
he
Cam
will
goes
be
1. I understand that, but if you're talking about hoping and praying, I'm praying for some wild piece of garbage to occur at 3 that Carter's on the board at 4, because I'm just going to pick him and roll out of the first round happy. And nobody's going to be upset with my pick. Like, nobody's going to go, oh, I'm so mad we got Abdul Carter. Like, you just got a gift from the football gods. Take it and move on. Don't be like, oh, we could try and parlay this into pick. Nope. Yes, you'll get your protection for Drake May in the next rounds. You got Abdul Carter. You got a great football player. So that's what I'm hoping and praying for it to have happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I certainly wouldn't be putting all my eggs in that basket. But if I'm going to sleep tonight, the night before the draft, and I'm praying for one thing, it's like, oh, let there be some kind of fuckery at 3 and have Carter drop.
I mean,
please.
But people look at Jalen Walker as like, oh, if you miss out on Abdul Carter, you can get Jalen Walker. They're not the same thing.
It's not really close.
It's not remotely close.
It is in like a 5% slice, but that's it. And Abdul Carter is the rest of the circle. And Jalen Walker only overlaps on like 5% of his like rushes because you see it, but that's it. And if you move Walker to middle linebacker, he's not good. If you move Carter to middle linebacker, he played there for the first 2 years at Penn State, and he was awesome. Like he did everything. He
weirdly
blitzed,
high,
he rushed,
weirdly high missed tackle rate, like a 28% missed tackle rate at linebacker for 1 year.
Right.
The first year he was like 13. Again, I don't know why he missed so many tackles, but like Carter was like he was a first round inside linebacker as a sophomore in college.
Correct.
Jalen Walker's not a first round off ball linebacker.
No. It's not even close.
Not even remotely. Like
no, as you move him out to the edge, he gets better. It's about the
Yes.
angles and how he approaches it. We talk about this on the other side of the ball all the time. Angles in the run game, right? And how being in under center or pistol or shotgun changes your angles in the run game. Your angles in pass rushing change as you move from the middle of the field to the edge or to the wide edge. That things change. The angles of approach do. And he gets better out there. Like that's where I want to put him. Where I struggle with is that he's 240, right? And he doesn't always look like he's going to hold up out there. And that's a liability because if they decide not to pass and they run at you, that's not going to be great. If you run at Abdul Carter, good luck. Like he's going to smoke your running back. Like he is violent in the way that he tackles.
The things that I like about Walker are he's got a quick trigger. Like he's really, really athletic, obviously. And he's got so much pop in his hands. Like when he takes on blockers at the point of attack, like he legitimately rocks them and discards them.
Yep.
The issue is getting into the right spot to do that because he doesn't have very good eyes. He doesn't have very good instincts as a linebacker. Like I really don't think he knows what he's looking at as an off-ball linebacker. Not that he doesn't study, not that he doesn't work hard. It's just that's not what his position is. So he doesn't know what he's looking at. Yep. And then as an edge, again, as a 240-pound edge with length issues, there are reps where he flashes, where he gets into the tackle's chest. He wins with that long arm. Long arm, not that he has long arms, more so a long arm technique. And the tackle opens up a little bit. He gets into the armpit, and he does like the whole Khalil Mack shove you to the back of the pocket and win inside. Mm-hmm. But when he goes up against an NFL tackle like Kelvin Banks, you can't really do that. I know people bring up that Texas game. Like, well, we got 2 sacks on Kelvin Banks. No, he didn't. He got 2 sacks on Quinn Ewers. Those were not on Kelvin Banks. Yeah. The first one, if you watch it, down by the goal line, Quinn Ewers was hanging out 11 yards deep in the pocket. And he had a whole bunch of space to step up into, and he fucking didn't. And Kelvin Banks, grabbed Walker and threw him to the ground, and lo and behold, Quinn Ewers was waiting for him there 11 yards deep and got sacked. And you can even see Kelvin Banks throw his hands up like, Quinn, what are you doing there, dude? Step up. And then the other one, the pressure came from the other side and flushed Quinn like out through the B gap, and then he just disengaged and got the sack. But like he didn't get sacks on Kelvin Banks. He got sacks because Quinn Ewers has terrible pocket presence. So he's not a great pass rusher against like elite caliber offensive tackles because he doesn't have the length for it, even though he does have the speed. And he's not a great off-ball linebacker because he doesn't have the instincts. And we're taking that 4th overall? 4th overall?
You want to do the bizarro version? If you miss out on this non-off-ball linebacker semi-pass rusher, you can wait 4 rounds and get this one.
Huh?
Colin Oliver.
Yes.
It's the bizarro. It's the bad version of if you miss out, this is your shadow sleeper. If you really feel compelled to take a player that does not play well in the middle and is too small and does have some pass rush, just wait and take Colin Oliver like 5 rounds later. He'll be there.
And I guarantee you the reason why Walker's going to go this high, and we've done this. We've done this before.
Yes, we have.
He interviews so well.
Yeah.
You want to believe in the kid.
Sure.
You see the athletic profile and you talk to him, you're like, I want to believe in this kid.
I heard that he was top 2.
Yes.
In terms of character and how he came off in the room. So both things, because those are 2 separate things, how you come off in the room and your character. In terms of both things being combined or welded into one, he was top 2 in this draft, and the other guy's Emeka Egbuka, who is freaking spotless. So if you're putting anybody in that category, he's as clean as it gets. So in terms of low risk, from a GM's perspective, not the football perspective, but in terms of like, I picked a good kid and he's super talented. You need to figure out what to do with him. Jalen Walker is going to be way up there because you're not going to have all the issues you are with a lot of other edge rushers in this class because he's not that guy. But he's also not that guy on the field. So therein lies the problem.
It happens to all of us, though. Like, we see athleticism, and then we get him into a room, and he's an amazing interview, and we fall in love with the kid, and we get emotional about it because we're like, I want this person to be my coworker, and then you overdraft him. Happens every year.
I would not disagree. All right, so we did the 2-for-1. Jeremy gets $2. Giants take Genty, book it. No, I refuse to believe your reality, and I replace it with my own.
Patriots fans want that, though. They're like, oh, you mean we're getting Abdul Carter? Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, again, we don't think right now, because again, hindsight's 2020. Foresight, a little cloudy right now. There are possibilities. Many possibilities? No, it's not quite the Doctor Strange thing, 1 in 14 million, but like there are possibilities where Abdul Carter is around at 4. There are not many. It's not likely. Could it happen? It could certainly happen.
Next one here from Chris for $2. Thank you, Chris. Where does Kevin Winston Jr. go? I think there's an outside shot. We see him in the back end of the first round because he is a very like Billsian safety, but I could also see him going to the Commanders. I could see him going to the Eagles even. Wouldn't be completely shocked by that. Like he is one of the most talented DBs, regardless of position in this class. He's big, he's fast, he's explosive. Literally never missed a tackle on defense throughout his entire college career against the run of the pass. He missed 1, and it was on special teams. A+ character, models his game after Derwin James, and you can tell like Kevin Winston is a badass.
He's a baller.
Anywhere in hell, I think the Rams at 26 is where his range starts. And he can go somewhere between 26 and like 45.
56.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's a great player, but again, safeties are not a high priority up in the draft typically. Teams wait, and they can because there's some safety depth here. And it's just going to come down to like whether they prefer him or Watts or Eamon Warry or Starks or whoever's there, right? As they start to go off and the options go down, I don't think he'll be the first one, but he could be the second one. He could be the fourth one. And that could be the difference of 50-ish picks because safeties don't just roll off the board in the early rounds. So great player, though.
Great player. Michael Boagny for $10. Thank you, Michael. Hi, y'all. Out of curiosity, since Mickey Loomis refused to fix Nola's cap situation, parentheses, again. Do you feel like he'll be on the hot seat if the Saints tread water again this season? Christ bless you both. I'll say this, Michael. Probably not.
Yeah.
And you know why? Because if he was going to be on the hot seat,
it would have been a while.
It would have been a while ago.
Yeah.
A long, long time ago. Because this mismanagement is not new. Like, we're talking about the end of the Breeze era, which was almost a decade ago at this point.
Yeah.
And they made that bed to try to squeeze every last bit of juice from that orange at the end of the Breeze era, even though his arm was gone at that point. But they tried, right? They tried to go on a run. I want to say it was 2017 is when that game against the Rams happened.
Yeah, that game against the Rams. I love that you can say that game against the Rams.
And everybody knows
exactly what we're talking about. Yeah.
That was 7 years ago.
I know.
We've been doing this for 7 years.
Yeah, we talk about NFL purgatory. Like, the Saints are solidly in NFL purgatory.
Patrick Mahomes went from Texas Tech to being in 5 Super Bowls since that game happened. It's been a while, okay?
Yeah, it's a thing.
If he was going to be in the hot seat, it already would be a thing.
Yeah.
He's going to leave when he wants to leave at this point.
Yeah. Nick Lennington for $4.99. Chances Graham falls out of the top 10. Stock Exchange Pod has him going to Miami. I think they're certainly better than they were.
So people are finally listening to me? It took until the
us,
day before the draft for people to listen to me.
Yeah. Neither one of us has been We have taken a lot of slings and arrows for sure about saying that Mason Graham is a good, solid football player, but not somebody that I would probably be super thrilled about in the top 10. I said that again last night on Bear Era, and somebody came back and tweets today and said, so you said he might have an 8 or 9 year career. You might have 2 Pro Bowls. That's basically Akeem Hicks, career. Would you be upset with Akeem Hicks' career? And I was like, well, those two things aren't the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like Akeem Hicks and Mason Graham, that's false equivalency. Yes, it would be the same number of Pro Bowls, but we also know getting into the Pro Bowl is a dubious honor at this point.
I think it's how many Pro Bowls should Akeem Hicks should have had.
Right. And what kind of impact did Akeem Hicks, as told to us from offensive tackles that faced him, right, and guards that he threw out of the way. They're not the same player. Like, he's a good player. Like, Mason Graham's a good player. Top 10 player. I'd say the chances he falls out of the top 10 pretty good. Could he end up in Jacksonville, just like everybody has said for, it seems like years at this point, but it's months? Sure, he sure could.
I think it's likely at this point, honestly.
Yeah,
which we've been trying to say since February, by the way.
Yep.
Sometimes we're not crazy.
Very few number of times we're not crazy.
Def Not Rory, congratulations on your Masters win for £10. Thank you, Rory. Hey, gents, thanks for being the soundtrack to a mock drafting for the Packers level hard period of finals revision UK side.
Oh.
Wow, I can't read today. My God. Am I nuts for wanting Nolan and Urgery as San Francisco's first 2 picks? No, not at all.
No, not really.
I honestly...
They'd be pretty thrilled with that.
And for the range of where those picks are, it makes sense for both players.
Yep.
Right?
I don't think it's a stretch in either direction. So that's a great one. I don't think you're nuts at all. I think you're right on. And if that falls to come to pass that way, I think San Francisco would be happy. I think the players would be excited about their destination, and like they would feel probably as satisfied as players will about where they were drafted. I don't think there's anything wrong with that scenario.
Also, let's be honest, a player with as much raw talent as Walter Nolan getting coached by Chris Kasurik, come on now. Like,
yeah,
that dog will hunt.
Yep.
TD for $2. Thank you, TD. Cowboys take Green to prep for post-Micah era. I don't think there's going to be a post-Micah era. It feels like Jerry, in his infinite stubbornness, is going to pay Micah, but he's going to make it as annoying a process as possible.
And as expensive
as process as possible. And you know how we know that? Because he always does that. He did it with his quarterback twice. He did it with Zeke. He did it with CD. He did it once upon a time with Dez. The one time it didn't really happen, I mean, Zach Martin held out, for God's sake. The one time it didn't happen was Tyron Smith, because Tyron Smith signed like a 11-year deal or whatever it was on his first extension. Right. And he was basically a Cowboy for life from like the 3rd year of his career. Yeah. But that's the only time that ever happened. Every other major Cowboys star, we've been through this, and it's always the most expensive route. So I don't think they're going to take Green. Probably not. Jaguar Philosopher for $2. Thank you, Jaguar. This draft is shaping up to be a Spags masterclass. If by that you mean Michael Williams going at 31, I agree with you. I think he's going to. I mean, people keep saying he's going to go top 15, and I'm like, to where?
Yeah, it's always to where. And right now we have 35 first-round picks. Like,
yeah,
they're 35 guaranteed lock first-round picks. Will never possibly get out of the first round. And everybody's like, well, there's 32 picks. That's right. Well, yeah, but it's not going to be that 35, folks. That's not how it works. But right now, everybody's absolutely sure that their guy is, oh, yeah. And more this year, I think, more than being a first-round guy, it's that you hear that, oh, he's going in the first 20. And you're like, well, tell me where. Give me the spot. Show me.
I have, speaking of that, interesting question here from Shivam Nayar for $5. Thank you, Shivam. How many picks do you think Houston will use to draft O-line in the top 3 rounds?
Well, when they trade up to 10, to get Banks if he's still there. That counts as 3.
That was the exact thing I was gonna say. I was like, do we count trade assets? Because
yes, we have to. Yeah, because it's not 1 for 1. Whatever they have to is the answer, and the answer. You and I were talking about this last night. Tackles are going to go faster than everybody thinks, and
they always do.
They always do, even when the tackles aren't great, and maybe even more so when the tackles aren't great. So, in your mock draft that we did on Monday, you had Banks going 9 to the Saints, which is a totally realistic thing given Ramczyk's retirement. He could play guard this year. Penning goes next year. Banks slides out to tackle. It's a very plausible scenario. That would mean 3 tackles in the first 9 picks. And if you're Houston and you have a shelf because you need a left tackle and you need them to start, you don't have the luxury of being like, well, we got 1 more year of whoever. Like, no, you need a starting left tackle. And you say, there's only 1 more on our board that we're comfortable with, or 2 more. 3 went in the first 9. How long do you think the 4th one's going to last? Right? Are they going to get past 14? Probably not. Are they going to get past 15? Probably not. It's not the teams that are picking at 14 or 15. It's that some other team, just like you, is thirsty for left tackle depth. And they're like, well, if we wait, we're not going to get, whoever it is on your board, Josh Connerly Jr., right? If they think Josh Connerly Jr. is the last stop before, no more gas, 250 miles, right? They're going to go wherever they need to go. So there is a world where Houston goes up to 10 to Chicago's pick and picks Josh Connerly, and the entire world freaks out and goes, Josh Connerly just got picked at 10, right? But
and you're like, what else are they going to do?
Yeah, right, exactly. What else are you going to do? Tackles don't grow on trees. You can't just go outside to the tackle tree and pick one. That's not how it works. You got to get who's available. And if 3 go in the first 9, people are going to get super antsy and panic just like they always do.
Well, Green Bay, I believe, does have a grove of tackle trees that they just go to, but it's the only place it exists in this country.
They just sprinkle tackle dust on people when they show up.
Tackle Miracle Grow.
That's right.
Speaking of Connerly, Caden for $2. Thoughts on Josh Connerly Jr.? I love him. I think he's a really, really good player. Natural pass protector.
2 thumbs up. Yes.
Like, he's explosive, excellent mirror ability. I mean, if you can handle Abdul Carter's speed off the edge, you can handle any speed off the edge. So he's probably, the last station that train's going to go through as far as getting a starting tackle in the first round, depending on how you see Simmons and the injury stuff and the maturity stuff. But as far as guys that you feel super good about that are clean left tackle prospects, it's the last one that you're going to get in the first round, and everybody else in this class after that has some kind of question. So he's going to go earlier than people think because he plays a very valuable position, and he's good at that valuable position. Those guys go early every time.
True. No, I love Josh Connerly. I think he's great, and I would not be upset if he ended up being a Bear. People say even at 10. Well, if they really think left tackle's a thing and the nightmare scenario happens, which is kind of the one that got laid out in Brett's draft, Genty's off the board, Warren's off the board, 3 tackles are off the board. Like, if you don't love Derek Harmon's shoulder and you're not willing to pick Emeka Egbuka at 10 because he's just a great football player, then Josh Connerly looks pretty attractive at that point. Because, again, if you wait to 39, you're not getting him. You're getting something that's probably not starting on day 1.
That's the exact reason why they're trying to trade up, by the way, because they're staring down the barrel of like, are we taking Josh Connerly at 10 or are we just trading up to go get Genty?
Yeah. I think that's true. Not a draft question per se from Cody, but what do you think of Kingsley moving to guard?
They have to.
I think it better work. That's all I got for you, Cody. There's not a better answer. Jonathan Peck for $4.99. Hey, Brett and EJ, thoughts on Maryland's wide receiver Ty Felton? My team, Commanders, have eye on him in the mid rounds. Yeah, local prospect. I'm sure he came to their local pro day. I could see it, and I think he would be productive with the type of quarterback that Jaden Daniels is, which is a very good one, but also a down the field quarterback. And Ty Felton has some of that ability. That's his sort of calling card. Tall, long receiver that can get down there. And I think Jaden Daniels would be a good fit for him. And Adam Heath for $9.99. No question. Awesome. Cool. We're catching up on questions. We love you, Adam. That's great.
Yeah, EJ was like, we have 22 minutes to get through the rest of these super chats.
Well, I just realized that like I was seeing things that they're like, oh, clipped and shipped when you said stalked around these questions. And I'm like, oh God.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
a long time ago.
Correct.
I do, again, Cody, I do want to mention Kingsley is moving to guard because you literally cannot play him at tackle. He is not playable at tackle. His hands are not well developed enough to do it. So that's a desperation move. It's not a he's a guard of the future move. It's a, if he doesn't work here, he's not working at all move. Connor Broderick for $5. If the Patriots pull a shocker, should Walker be the move on defense? Who would be their best fit on D? As mentioned before, I am not taking Jalen Walker at 4. I'm not. I don't even have him in my first round mock. I know he's going to go in the first round. You can't take him at 4th overall. You just can't do it. I know people are like, well, maybe he's going to be Jamie Collins. He's not Jamie Collins. Okay. And also, you know where they took Jamie Collins? Not at 4. Tell you that much.
Yeah.
They took the athlete that is Jamie Collins and they trusted them to develop him over time. And I think they spent like a 3rd round pick on him, I want to say, maybe 2nd. Didn't take him at 4.
Yeah.
So I hope they don't. Ivan Victor for $5. If Schefter and Schrager are right and the Steelers take Sanders at 21, if/when he falls, should I be celebrating it or really concerned?
Both.
Yes.
Yeah, both. You should be happy because you have a path forward if it works out. You should also be concerned because there's lots of reasons it might not, but it's better than anything else you have. So it's very much, do you want to look at 6 of one or half a dozen of another? Like that's the choice you're looking at. So I would say both.
Imagine being Indiana Jones, right? And you found the treasure and you get locked inside the room and you're like, oh my God, there's no way out. And the walls are closing in. Then all of a sudden a door opens in the corner and you walk out. You're like, I have a path. And it's a swamp full of crocodiles. It's a path, not a very safe one. Sure. So like, is it better than being crushed to death immediately by the weight of Aaron Rodgers' ego? Yes. Are you going to die anyway? Possibly, probably.
Maybe.
But, you know.
You crushed it. That's awesome.
Off the top of the dome, too.
That's so good. Indiana Jones, one of my favorites growing up. Absolutely classic. Any validity to teams being worried about Harmon's shoulder from J-Lo for $4.99? I'm a diehard Cards fan. Would love him at 16. Heck, I'm a diehard Bears fan, and I would love him at 10. But there have been concerns. We don't know. Like, we don't get to see the medicals. I don't talk to anybody that is qualified to, have a look at those things and say, oh, you should not draft a defensive end with this guy's shoulder. We don't know. Is there an issue? Yeah, there's an issue. But as always, some teams will be totally fine with it, likely. And some teams will be like, I'm not totally fine. Maybe even some teams have them off the board, but I haven't heard that at all yet. So I'm thinking it's one of those, how much can we work with this sort of load management thing that, look, all these guys are dinged up. Like JT said on our quarterbacks podcast when he went to the combine, he was like, I have no injuries. And I was like, what? How are you a college football player that got smashed into AstroTurf that had no injuries? Like, how does that work? All these guys are injured at some level. It's just a question of, can you deal with that being pro athlete, which is very difficult to do. So I love Harmon, great player. Yes, there's a concern. Yesterday was shoulder day. Everybody has a shoulder. Colson Loveland's got a shoulder. Harmon's got a shoulder.
John Campbell.
John Campbell has 2 shoulders. So
and a knee.
And a knee. Yeah. So yesterday was a bad day for shoulders.
It's
right.
By the way, 2 days before the draft, sometimes 1 day before the draft. That is the day every single year where the insiders they'll tweet out a video of some guy on a treadmill and say he's looking great, gonna be
by
ready
the way,
for
he had
camp.
surgery.
By the way, his leg fell off. Whoopsie daisy, and like he's gonna be ready for OTAs. He's gonna be the Blade Runner now, the one that doesn't murder his wife. And like they do that as a favor to agents who are like trying to reassure teams
pump up the draft stock.
Yeah,
for sure.
And
it's
every year
it's rugged. I forgot that it was that day yesterday. I got blindsided by that. I was halfway through draft rankings, and all of a sudden I look up and it's just like injury, injury. Oh no, he's fine. Injury, injury. And I'm like, come on, stop it. And then later, yes, it dawned on me. It's that day. Matthew Wright for $10. People always suggest drafting a QB late and developing them. But have any of those turned into effective starters recently? Good question. Seems like late draft guys either come on quickly or never at all, especially in the sort of modern NFL, which is, I will say, very recently, 3 to 5 years. You have to play well quickly, or you're kind of typecast. We haven't seen that rags to riches kind of like, oh, we picked him in the 6th and he came on an injury support and now he's our starter for, Tony Romo money.
I feel like Purdy is the only one I can think of.
Yeah. But again, he came on in his very first year, right?
Yeah.
They drafted him way down the board, but by the end of training camp that you went to, they knew he's probably going to be our starter. And by midseason, they knew he was going to long-term. So again, back to his question, guys either come on quickly or never at all. I would agree, because there's no patience for development in the NFL, even for quarterbacks. And this whole Jalen Milroe might be good in 3 years. I'm like, he's going to have a different head coach in 3 years. That's just the way the NFL works. So you kind of have to hit it quick. You got to be ready. And that means a lot of guys don't get what we used to consider a fair shot. So
I feel would you count Jalen? I mean, Jalen Hurts went in the 2nd round, so I don't know if you count.
I would not count Jalen Hurts.
But they did take their time developing him.
It's true, but he was playing during that mostly.
Yeah. I mean, Jordan Love, I guess.
Jordan Love is the best example of, and they took him very high, but they also sat him for longer than anybody, which strangely enough is the same thing they did with their previous quarterback, but the league moved and they didn't. They're the only ones that still do that. Malik was the same way. Malik will be great if he can have 2 or 3 years to develop. And you don't get 2 or 3 years. Again, it's just a weird thing, but I'd say you're right on. And the old draft a quarterback every year. Yeah, draft a quarterback every year and just hope they can play, not draft a quarterback that is going to take 2 or 3 years to get ready, because the leagues can be very different. And quite frankly, your coaching landscape might be very different in 3 years. So
Yako Warner for $5. Thank you, Yako. There have been a bunch of wide receivers you were higher on due to bad quarterbacks that have not developed in the NFL. Has your wide receiver analysis changed for this? I'm trying to remember an example. A receiver I was high on, who I was like, if he just had catchable passes.
I definitely take that. I'm not going to call it an excuse. I take that factor much more lightly than I used to, because it used to be if it was just somebody decent throwing him the ball, he would have been amazing, right?
Yeah.
And when guys fall off, like Luther Burden this year, right? Everybody is so quick to say, "Oh, Brady was terrible." Yeah. Brady was terrible. But that doesn't make Luther great. The inverse isn't true. So I'm less quick to just go, oh, it's just Brady, no issues with Luther, right? I go, well, there are still some issues. And strangely enough, we see really good receivers make bad quarterbacking look better. Cough, cough. Travis Hunter made Shadur's numbers look amazing. You look at his accuracy percentage, adjusted completion percentage, 81.8. You're like, God, this guy's a dart thrower. You go to the tape. He is not a dart thrower, but he had a receiver that he could throw it anywhere within a 12-foot circle and he would catch it.
I was trying to remember, I know I've done it in the past, but I literally can't think of a receiver off the top of my head that I had that as my reasoning for they must be good. Their quarterback was shitty. And Jalen Reagor. I whiffed hard on Jalen Reagor.
Yeah, we did. We both liked him. That was one of the very first videos on this channel.
But I feel like I almost subconsciously, without even trying to, I've moved off that approach, because without even realizing it, I also was lower on Luther Burden this year. I didn't cut him any slack for Brady Cook. And maybe me in the Jalen Reagor year, which I think was 2020, maybe I would have. Yeah. Right? Because I would have gone back to the 2023 flashes and I would have been like, it's in there. But I looked at Luther Burden this year and I was like, yeah, he's fine. I gave him no slack on that. So whether I intended to or not, maybe I have cut that out of my process, and I've just graded guys in a vacuum better.
Yeah, and to go back to the previous question, actually, about quarterback assessment and development, we're always looking for guys to succeed, and we're always looking for their potentials, but to Yako's point, you have to factor in how often do they actually hit that and be realistic about that. Like if they hit all green lights, they'll be great. How often does anybody hit all green lights? And the answer in the NFL is very rarely. So let's be a little more conservative about saying, yeah, if they do that, but they're probably only going to get 30% of the way there, 40%. What do they look like at that point? I'm not grading this up here. I'm grading this down here. And what does that stack up to? Because that's where they're likely to get to.
Rain Michael for $5. Thank you, Rain. Every year feels like the Ravens are right there. Could they do anything this year to put them over, or just the usual draft best value / put it together? The Ravens are the NFL's physical embodiment of Charlie Brown trying to kick the football. Like every single year, whether it's Kansas City or Buffalo, that ball will get pulled away from them. Even if they think they're finally going to get it, it will get pulled away from them. And I truly can't explain why. I really can't explain why. Because they're the most talented team. On any given Sunday, you could argue they got the best quarterback on the field, even when they're playing against the other monsters of the AFC. Like Lamar is that good. He can take over a game, even when the other guys are also there. Like, we love their run game. Their pass game is much improved over the last couple of years. Their defense, my God, the improvement their defense went through in the middle of last year was incredible. Like, they were the best team in the NFL 2 years in a row that have nothing to show for it. So at this point, it's like, could they get over the hill? Maybe. But like, what's the 2025 Ravens going to have that 2023 and 2024 didn't? Like at this point, like it'll happen when it happens. I refuse to believe Lamar's going to go his entire career without winning a Super Bowl. But fuck, Dan Marino did. So it's like, it's not impossible that he could just be this generation's Dan Marino where you can't explain it and he's on the best team and he's the MVP and they can't do it. I don't know why.
No. It's maddening. Back to the draft approach, though. What got them here to this plateau is doing what they've always done. So I wouldn't change it because I would rather be, competing for the top of the AFC every single year. And the reason they got here is because they didn't reach. They let the board come to them. They know and are very strongly committed to their sort of draft ethos and knowing, play like a Raven, that whole bit. Like, just keep doing it. Like, keep filling up the coffers with good players. It's worked. Like, to Brett's point, you have everything except for luck at this point. It really feels like they just need some good bounces. And I wouldn't get desperate and start packaging picks and going to the top of the board and saying, this is, we're one guy away. The Ravens have never acted in the draft like they were one guy away. And it's gotten them here. So just stay on, right?
Angelo for $5. This one's for you, EJ.
Yeah, I know.
It's not explicitly for you, but I'm making.
I saw it coming.
Thoughts on Josh Simmons? Josh Simmons to Chicago. He's my OT1 elite and pass pro, and could be a seamless transition to after Braxton leaves. I love how every Bears fan is just like, well, yeah, he's gone. We're not paying that kind of money. Bye. Is he your guy?
I love Josh Simmons. He is OT1 if you're looking at the film. He is exactly what you said. He's elite and pass pro. He's also a very good run blocker. He has injury concerns, but that's not what people are worried about. People are really worried about character concerns off the field. And I'm not talking about legal stuff. I'm just talking about personality and player stuff. It's super loud. And I know some people just say, screw it. You can't have an entire roster of choir boys. You need the talent. Combined with the injury stuff, it's going to cause them some slide. Not every team's going to have them on the board. And unfortunately for Chicago, I think that's probably one of the teams that is not going to consider Josh Simmons until much later. And he will probably be taken by one of those teams that is less risk averse because he is such a talent. And we've been saying to the Chiefs, because the Chiefs do not care for the most part about that stuff at all. That's been proven over years and years. It's not one player or one incident or whatever else. Like, Chiefs have a much lower threshold to step over for that. Josh is a great player, and on tape, I fell in love with him. I was like, he's awesome. And yes, makes perfect sense in the scenario you laid out for the Bears. Josh Simmons is very unlikely to be a Bear. I'll just say that.
He's not going to be a Texan either.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're trading Larry Tunsil because you're like, he's not great in the room, like you're not going to then draft Josh Simmons.
Yeah, that would be tough to sell
So
with
like, okay.
folks in the room.
Let's see. I have one here. Wait.
Nick Lennington for $9.99. Was just thinking of him as a corner. Can you rank Travis with the other past top 5 corner prospects? Okudah, Stingley. I'm going to let you take that one because that's my least favorite game. Because you can't pick those guys this year. They play for other teams.
So I'll just go back literally just the last 5 years, right? So we have Quinyon Mitchell. I would have taken him over Quinyon Mitchell. I would have taken him over Terrion Arnold and Nate Wiggins. And then the year before that, I would have taken him over Forbes for sure.
Really?
Shocker. I would have taken him over Deontay Banks and Joey Porter. The really tough one is Witherspoon and Gonzo. I had monster grades on them, like as corners, right? If we're just saying Travis Hunter is a corner, first time as a corner, I probably would do Witherspoon and Gonzo over him as pure corners, but it's close. It's pretty close. And then Stingley, I would have taken Stingley over him. Sauce would have been a dead heat for me. McDuffie, I would have taken him over McDuffie, but I say that as somebody who was obsessed with McDuffie coming out, so like that hurts me. Kyrie Elam, I would have taken him over Elam.
Really?
Before that, J.C. Horn and Surtain, I would have done Horn and Surtain over him. I would have done him over Farley and over Greg Newsome and over Eric Stokes and over Tyson Campbell. Yeah, again, I have a type for these big, long, like elite press man corners. Obviously, I have a type. I would have taken them over Travis, but and then Okudah, I had pretty big grade. At the time, I would have taken Okudah. I would have taken him over C.J. Henderson. That wouldn't have even been a discussion for me. Terrell would have been a dead heat. I liked AJ Terrell a lot. Arnett, I would have taken him over Arnett. I would have taken him over Igbenogany and Jeff Gladney. Who else?
That was not a great corner year either. I remember people thinking that like Jeff Gladney was the second coming, and I was like, I'm not sure.
I liked him a lot, man.
I know you were one of them.
I was hot on Jeff Gladney.
I was like, I don't think so, but
so out of all those corners, he was what, eighth pure corner out of So again, I'm not saying he's a generational corner. I'm not even saying he's a generational receiver. He's a generational got that football dog player in him. Like he's just he's so sick. I love him, but I understand people that are concerned. Yeah,
and I think people do get concerned when there's universal love for anybody.
Yeah.
Right. When everybody says he's amazing, right? I see the amazing. I've also been on the other side of the fence when everybody was saying somebody's amazing. There's guys like that this year, that I'm just like, I don't see it. But yeah, I know both sides of that fence. JJP for $4.99. I started doing more draft content this year. That's awesome. I'm so excited about this particular super chat. Coolest thing was when Brant Keithy's relatives retweeted my video. Go Brant Keithy Hive. There's literally 5 of us.
Not even dozens.
No, we are not dozens strong, the Brant Keithy Hive. And I understand why. Super overage prospect, ton of injuries. But I will never quit Brant Keithy's. As long as he's walking, he is a cool football player. And I really enjoy it. But JJP, that's awesome. Awesome you're doing content, and yeah, it feels so cool when somebody latches onto your stuff that's related to the player and is like, they said good stuff about my boy, and you're like, yes, we did. That's awesome.
It's my favorite part of this whole season, honestly.
I know, I forget every year, and then the first one happens and I'm like, oh yeah, his mom found it. Okay, cool.
Or his first grade teacher, or
the small town guys are the best.
Yeah,
guys from a town of 1,200. I said something about Jared Casey this year, who's a fullback, H-back, tight end type out of Kansas, who just blocks his ass off. That's what he's good for. He's amazing. So much fun. And I said something, just kind of a throwaway tweet about him, and his original 8-man football league picked up on it. And they're just like, that's right, pride of, whatever his hometown is that I don't remember. And it's just it just rolls, I'm like, okay.
When Thomas Perry goes off the board, everybody who's ever been connected to Middlebury,
Thomas the Tank,
nuts. Beachfront commute for $2. Jealous of you. if that's a real thing.
If that's really, yeah. For sure.
49ers fan, love Harmon. Who should we take? If Harmon's shoulder checks out,
Harmon.
you should take Harmon. Honestly, like, he's awesome.
The thing is, like, and there's such a like generational connection between the Niners and awesome Ducks defensive tackles.
Oh yeah, Buckner, Eric Armstead,
right? It's Buckner, Armstead, Harmon. Like, that's, yeah. If his shoulder's great, I totally see it. If not, take Nolan and Profit. You're not going to be sad about that either. Like, that's great.
Just take D-line. Like, just any of those top
good ones.
Top three. Diego Cardona, thank you, Diego, for $5. It's been 10 years since the first time I watched the draft. Shout out Bud Dupree. Throwback.
Wow. Okay.
Who was the first player you guys remember your respective team draft? Oh, God.
That's hard. The first ones I remember being, and this led directly to my current occupation. The first ones I remember being, like, super pissed off about, and not even really having a good enough basis in football to know why I was pissed off about it, but it's just kind of instinct, was like Cade McNown and David Terrell, the receiver from Michigan.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I hated that pick. And I didn't even really know why I hated that pick. And that's kind of what started. I was like, I shouldn't be being this irrationally angry about something I don't understand. And so I started literally, like, trying to figure out why I thought that was such a terrible thing, and if there was any basis or I was way off base. And honestly, you can just, like, pour Miracle Girl on that little idea, and it's bootleg football, like, 100%.
I remember my first Texas draft pick that I was, like, really, really stoked about was, ironically, D'Amico Ryans. But the first time I ever, like, when I really, really dove into, like, being a draft guy, where I was like, I am covering the draft, I am scouting all the players, I am doing write-ups, I'm doing grades. It was the epic war on Battle Red Blog, the SB Nation site back in the day, between two camps of people. The ones who wanted Stephen Hill and the ones who wanted Kobe Fleener. And every single day they fought over and over and over again. I was on Team Fleener. Personally.
Yeah, you're on the right team.
We all lost.
I know.
None of us were right. Team. But yeah, that was the first year I was like, I am in.
That's it. I am in. Yep.
And
once you get in to what somebody said earlier, thank you for supporting our draft habits, or what, like, it's an obsession. If I don't know anybody that does this work to this level that's not, like, really hooked on it.
Yeah.
Like, Dane Brugler could not stand in front of you honestly and go, I could quit tomorrow. He can't.
Yeah.
Like, we can't either. Like, it's just, you can't do this level of work and not have some little twisted gene in your head that goes, no, I just can't give up on these arguments.
That don't matter.
That don't matter. That we'll all be wrong about anyways. But yeah.
Alex for $2.99. Thank you, Alex. Who do the Dolphins draft to protect Tua alive, or to keep Tua alive? I would say, so it kind of feels like they already had a plan at left tackle. So I'd probably lean towards the interior. But at 13, I could see them, like, if Kelvin Banks gets to 13 and the Texans haven't already traded up, I could see them doing Kelvin Banks because he could play tackle or guard for them. And he's just a good player, right? So I would say Kelvin Banks at 13 makes sense. And then if it's not Banks, they're probably waiting until round 2. In which case, God, who's the most like Tate Ratledge? Maybe, right? Somewhere in
there. They would be very pleased with that pick. I really like Tate Ratledge. He's a good player. He's a really good player.
Tom Koch for $4.99. Thank you, Tom. Hey, gents. What should my virgin drink be for tomorrow night? Also, what's up with Mason Graham? So
I think we covered the Graham thing a little bit earlier. You can rewind. Virgin drink.
A virgin mojito?
Virgin mojito would be great.
It's mint sugar and soda water.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong.
No. I would say virgin mojito is better than what I was thinking of. I was thinking of just like a really good club soda, because there is a difference between good club soda and crappy club soda. So like a really good club soda with fresh lime if limes are good where you live. Limes are not great where I live. Limes are awesome where Brett lives. So like when I'm down there, I can drink sparkling water with lime in it, and it's amazing. I can come back up here and be like, water's still good. Limes suck.
I also have another idea.
Oh yeah.
Make yourself a homemade Dole Whip. Just don't put the rum in it.
Oh yeah.
Just don't add the rum. Just do homemade Dole Whip like the normal.
Homemade Dole Whip's just great.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
oh yeah.
I got
as
Oscar's
for
question.
the Mason Graham thing.
Yeah.
The what's up with Mason Graham? Not a lot of length. Stout run defender, but that stoutness does not translate into power as a pass rusher. Good athlete, not elite athlete. Not a lot of length. Not a lot of length. A lot of teams care about that.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons he won't win early. And the thing is, all the variances, all the tolerances are going up. They're getting higher or tighter, the tolerance to win in the NFL. Everybody's a better athlete, everybody's longer, everybody's more experienced. And again, he didn't win at a tremendous rate in college. It was good. Like again, he is a good player, solid floor player, great high character player, super high floor, low ceiling player because of those limitations. So
Squirrel fan real quick in the chat said throw some Ango in there with the lime. Don't throw Ango in there. That is also alcoholic. Fun fact. Angostura bitters, very alcoholic. So if you want a virgin drink, don't use Angostura bitters.
Don't do that. Well, that's good. I wouldn't have known that. Oscar Asker. Good to see you again, Oscar. If John Gruden were coaching and drafting, what player would you stamp as a for sure Gruden grinder? Will Howard. He already compared him to Josh fucking Allen. So, like,
is that better or worse than Colin Cowherd comparing Riley Leonard to Josh Allen?
I didn't hear that one, and my life was better before it.
It was during the playoff game when they ran Riley Leonard like 15 times in a row. And I think, Colin was like, Josh Allen. White running quarterback, Josh Allen.
Oh, no.
I was like,
traps. Okay. Stone for $20. I've been watching since the beginning. Thank you for the $20, by the way. Thanks for trying to make me feel better about the Eagles taking Jalen Reagor all those years ago. Yeah, we thought that was neat. I'm just sending love. Go Birds. Stone, that's so freaking cool. Folks who've been with us for a long time now, we've been doing this 5.5 years. It's really cool. It's been, we started in one place. We're definitely in another place. We feel like it's a better place, and lots more people are hanging out. So we think they probably agree. But for the diehards that have been here and supporting the channel just like this, can't thank you enough. Super awesome.
I mean, we've been carrying around 1,000 people in this stream the entire time. A day before that, like, draft's not even going on.
Yeah, this is just fun. This is just blowing steam off before the draft, which was literally my proposal to Brett for this stream, which he didn't want to do, by the way. He was like, we're already doing
were
so
the
much.
other
Like,
17 hours not good enough for you, EJ?
no, I was like, this isn't for me. This is for everybody else, because they just want to blow off steam and ask questions. And once the draft starts, we really kind of focus on the thread of the draft and what's happening. And this is just for, like, everybody just has so much energy for the draft. This was just literally a release valve for all the pre-draft energy. That was it. And it's become this thing, and it's awesome. It's a lot of fun, and we have fun doing it. And obviously you all enjoy it. So it's one of the great things about draft season. It starts to feel like maybe we're a little bit on the downhill side when we get to do this. We still have work to do. You and I both know we still have write-ups to do, and the next 24 hours are going to be super busy. But this is the first little, like, tickle of, like, the drafts. Basically, this is it. We've lit the fuse. Yep. It's going to go off pretty soon.
And I already downloaded the Oblivion remaster, so, like, I'm good. Like, after my work is done, day after the draft. Well, probably a few days after the draft.
I was going to say 3 days after the draft.
I got to do post-draft content. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to take a break on Sunday. And it's like, oh, fuck, I got to record podcast. And I got to do ESPN.
It's never Sunday. It's never Monday. It starts to be maybe a little bit Tuesday. Mine's going to be, I set a hard stop this year Wednesday night, which means it'll bleed over a little bit into Thursday morning. But as of Thursday morning, I'm out for like 2 weeks. And I haven't done that in like 5 years.
Where are you going? Out the coast?
I'm going a couple places, but I actually have a chunk of time open that I've not yet put a place on, and I'm going to take great joy in attaching a place to that time.
My birthday is the week after the draft. Yeah, the week after the draft, and Nikki's gone in Florida on work, so that is Elder Scrolls week for me.
Nice.
that is
planting the flag right
Brett
now.
doing nothing. I might like every few hours a day I'll work on the Revis video.
Yeah,
but other than that, doing nothing.
I love it.
Jordan Slater
it.
for $10.
I support it.
Love your content, guys. Keep up the great work. What are the chances the Lions end up with Malachi Starks? I see him as Brian Branch-esque player. I think the Lions would love to have Malachi Starks. I don't think the Lions are going to get Malachi Starks.
Yeah. As far as Branch, like physically, he's a clone copy. He doesn't play the same way, but in terms of like measurements and testing, it's spooky. Like Brian Branch and Malachi Stark are one circle. It's not a Venn diagram physically. So.
But he's not getting past Baltimore, if we're being real.
No.
Like
he should.
And Baltimore, I'm sure like they have other things in mind. But if Malachi Starks is there at 27,
yeah, they'll revert to their.
You think they're not
going
to take him? Like, okay, yeah.
DJ Cali Eagles fan for $2. DJ Final Mock has no Nolan thoughts. Floor of like floor at 24. Well, it's funny because. DJ is obviously more tied in than who I talk to, but who I talk to is really tied in. Unlike myself, I do not count myself as really tied in. I talk to people who are. I am not. And they said Nolan was going high. So this is what you get this time of year. It's like, no Nolan in the first 32 picks. Nolan's going high, man. Like you get 10 minutes apart in two texts, and you're like, okay.
It's one of those. Did the person you talk to another guy from a team who doesn't care about the maturity? And did DJ talk to people from teams who do care about the maturity?
Right. No, it's 100%. And you can go down those rabbit holes for every single player at this time of year. So even things that we're hearing that people say, oh, I have pretty good confidence, or, oh, I know that. Unless you're talking to the people who are making those calls, right, which we are not at this time of year. Those offices are locked down. You have an idea. Everybody's looking for smoke signals, but a lot of them are smoke. And, like you said, Sean Payton's going to come out and laugh like a maniac tomorrow and be like, you thought I didn't like Marion Hampton.
Also, if you think buildings lie, boy, you haven't met NFL agents.
Oh, agents.
Whee! They will lie right to your face about where their player is going.
If it serves their purpose, for sure. We love our agent friend.
They'll shake your hand the next time they see you. Well played.
Got to be super. Yeah, well played. You just have to kind of nod, tip the cap. Nice job. Yep, I bet it. Okay.
Kyle for $5. You guys just echoed everything I worry about with Jalen Walker. Really hoping my Panthers can trade back. Love all your content. I think the Panthers would love to trade back. The hard part is getting a team to come up.
Yeah, and what they'll give you to do it, as evidenced by the theoretical trade offer, not package, because I'm not even going to call it that. Trade offer I mentioned earlier. It's way less, and people have theorized that that's going to be the sort of standard operating procedure this year, is that you're going to get 70 cents on the dollar at best, because nobody really wants to trade up and everybody wants to trade back and get extra picks. So, at some point teams have to go off the chart and say, well, we'd rather move down because we can still get our guy and we'll get a pick. It's not the pick we usually get, but we get another pick, and that's fine. Or it's not. Some people will be hardliners about that. Either way, we're going to see how that pans out, because we will see the compensation when the trade goes up. I think it's going to be a little bit less than typical. I don't know that it's going to be huge value, like 30% off, but I would be surprised if it's not 10 to 15% off, because everybody's looking at the same stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so stay, pick a guy, right? Get no pick.
I dare you.
Yeah. Or we'll sweeten the pot a little bit, but not as much as you want. And in other years, when there's a lot of demand and more blue chip players higher up, you can hold the line and say, no, you're not only going to pay me what the chart says. If it's a quarterback, you're going to pay me more. If it's a, wide receiver right before the shelf falls out in the first round, you're going to pay me more, because that's a premium position. You don't have that leverage this year. After the top 3 picks, you don't have that leverage. So it's just going to be a conversation between two guys that know each other, and they're going to say, hey, look, we want to come up, but we don't want to come up that bad. Like, do you want extra picks, or are you just cool with the number you have? And if they say, I don't, tell me about those extra picks, where are they going to be? And if they look at their board and there's a bunch of guys that they think can help their team, they might take a small break. It's not going to be a huge break, but they might take a small break to move down.
Let me put it to you this way. At 8 last year, when the Falcons were on the clock, Michael Penix was on the board, Bo Nix was on the board, Jaden McCarthy was on the board, Rome Odunze was on the board, Brock Bowers was on the board, Fuaga was on the board, all the pass rushers were on the board. It's like when you put it that way.
When you put it that way,
like,
it sounds bad.
Who's the best player that's going to be on the board at 8 this year? Maybe Jahdae Barron? And I love Jahdae.
Maybe.
You guys know I love Jahdae.
Mm-hmm. But no, 10's a minefield. It's not a great
different conversations, man. Different conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Dan God of Thunder, for some reason. Hold on. Gotta change the battery.
Oh, all right. I will do Dan God of Thunder's super chat for $5. I'm a Giants fan. What's the realistic draft scenario that would make me reach for a drinking turpentine on Sunday night? Oh boy. Well, realistic is not true, but we talked about Jalen Milroe to the Giants earlier. Not at the top of the draft, but that would be challenging for sure. I don't think trading down and missing out on Jalen Carter is a bad thing necessarily.
Jalen Carter?
Or not Jalen Carter. Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
Wrong Carter. I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, but you are getting out of the blue chip range, like almost certainly, even if you only go down a few spots. So it's complicating for the Giants because of Kayvon Thibodeau, and are they going to trade him? And they would kind of have to. They don't have to, but it would be wise to. So I think they're always going to get that, right? Because Abdul Carter is probably going to be a badass in the NFL, and they will always be attached to, could have had Abdul Carter. It doesn't matter who they go get. It doesn't matter about the balance of the trade picks or anything else. It'll be like, you passed on Abdul Carter. And
I think it's one of those.
There's a serious risk if you do that.
Let's put out a scenario where the Niners come up to 3 and they give legitimately a boatload of picks, because that's the last pick where a boatload of picks would be given for Abdul Carter, because we know who it's for.
For sure.
You're getting a pass rusher. You know, you come up, he's probably 2 firsts, second. Start there.
Okay.
Who would they have to take at 11 plus the picks for you to be okay with not getting Abdul Carter?
You better love him.
Short list.
You better love him, whoever it is, because that's a high price. Like, again, Carter has injury concerns too, just like we talked about Harmon and everything else that have been talks about his injuries. Again, none of these guys are without some check marks, but I'm willing to take a lot more risk on Carter's check marks, because boy, he's something else on the field.
We are 15 minutes over where we wanted to end the stream already, so I'm going to go through these last questions at rapid fire, but I want to thank everybody who submitted questions, because our policy on Draftsmas is to answer these, and so we appreciate that you guys are bearing with us for this. Dana for $5. Ezraku is my edge too. Is there an untapped athleticism there moving from BC to the NFL? I don't know if I would say untapped athleticism, but Ezraku is very athletic, super fluid, great bend, has length, doesn't really play with power as much as I want him to, considering his 34-inch arms, but like, he's a polished, ready-to-go pass rusher, and he's my second highest graded edge in this class as well. So, again, I don't think it's untapped. It's more so it's like we know what we're getting, and what we're getting is pretty good, I would say. Isaac Sandoval for $4.99. Thank you, Isaac. Hello from Barksdale Air Force Base. I'm a huge fan. I love you guys. Appreciate you, Isaac. Who are some day 3 targets for my Packers? Who would you hate to see as Bears fans? Oh, boy.
I got one for you, because they need speed. They need a take the top off wide receiver. And down the board, guys that I would not like to see them get in that mold. Well, I know you're not going to like, I don't know, you're not going to like this, but Badger. I think Badger could be a day 3 guy. And if they got
Badger is so a Packers type of receiver.
Yeah.
Like, he is absolutely a Packers type of receiver. And I mean that because he's good.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be worried right away, but I would definitely have a little quake of fear if it was Isaac Tesla.
Oh yeah, that'd be
Because
fun.
they might turn him into something, and that would be terrifying.
If I'm looking at potential tackles that they're going to get with like the 900th pick that end up being a Pro Bowler,
You mean their typical
they're
modus
typical
operandi? Yeah.
Holland Pierce.
Oh God, that would be scary. He's so
I
huge.
know. You know what my comp for him was?
I
The AT-AT that got tripped up by the snow speeder in Empire Strikes Back. He's big. He's intimidating. Not very balanced. But, you know, if he catches you out in the open, he will kill you.
yeah.
Good player.
Oh, nah, he'll go too high. Oh, where do you think? I know you're high on Zy Alexander. Where do you think he's going to go? Because I would not like to see them end up with him. I
Like
think,
4.5 around there.
yeah, I think that's probably fair. And another guy is Bilal Kone from Western Michigan. I wouldn't be super psyched to see him show up in their room because again, down the board as a corner, he's a good player.
I would.
Yeah, those are guys.
Last one I'll throw in Aronde Gadsden, Captain Choice Route.
Oh yeah, choice route or seam ripper. Those if you need those two things,
Oof,
he's your guy.
be a bitch and a half to cover. Noah Strom for $5. I know you guys don't want to hear this, but any chance the Packers either trade out of the first or end up in the second for Jaden Higgins? Oh my God,
That would suck.
That would suck. I mean, it'd be great for the state of Wisconsin. It'd suck for me personally.
Yeah.
But is there a chance? Yes, there's a chance that
yeah,
that
there's
happens.
a chance, and there's a chance we'll be sad, and there's a chance we'll be using some of this money that people contributed to the bootleg alcohol fund to salve our sorrows.
To make an old fashioned in the proper way, which is not just throwing some brandy on top of a fruit basket like all you Wisconsinites like to do for no reason. Sorry, had to get that in there. Mike for $4.99. Thank you, Mike. A potential trade-up scenario that interests me is Gray Zabel to Detroit. Ooh, the North Dakota State connection with Tyler Roll would be there. That is I have not considered that at all, but I like it.
Perfect fit. Yeah, it's a perfect fit.
I love that.
Yeah, I as a NFL draft analyst and quite frankly a Brad Holmes fan, as a Bears fan, God damn it, I hate that so much.
I mean, if I was a Lions fan, I would be ecstatic. I'm sure a lot of them would be like, "Who?" But no, trust me, like that would be sick.
Be really dope.
Lancia Stratus for $4.99. Thank you, Lancia. Thoughts on Ollie Gordon? You know, at the beginning of this process, I was like, man, I kind of like Ollie Gordon a lot. And then by the end of it, I ended up with him as like my running back 30. There's just so many guys. And
he's the Luther Burden of running backs.
Where you look at 2023 and you're like, ooh, I like that a lot. In 2024, you're like,
yeah, he peaked too early. He was a Heisman finalist, and then he just, and he's just very straightforward. Like,
and stiff.
In every way. He's very straightforward.
Very stiff. Yeah. If he's running in a straight line, that's the best version of Ollie Gordon. If he has to turn more than 5 degrees, that's the worst version of Ollie Gordon. I'll leave it at that. Philip Yang for $8.88. Thank you, Philip. Thanks for the awesome content, guys. Eagles stay put in the first round. They pick tight end or offensive lineman. I mean, Colson Loveland's not going to be there, but they would run up the pick. People keep bringing up like Mason Taylor for them at 32, and I don't see that.
No,
I don't see that at all.
No, I'm not. Anyways, we'll talk about Mason Taylor. If you want to know more about Mason Taylor, check out our draft rankings because we did our tight end ones. No, I don't think Mason Taylor's
day 2. Okay, yeah, but not at 32. As for offensive linemen, who's even
anybody that goes to play with Stoutland, we're gonna give the stamp to because he's earned it.
Dude, can you imagine Josh Simmons?
I sort of can. For multiple reasons, and honestly, of course he would work there, but it almost, don't take this the wrong way, but it almost seems like not the Stoutland type, right? Stalin takes these toolsy guys. I'm thinking about
Yeah.
like Steen and like Cam Jurgens and like the guys he's taken recently. And these are down the board picks, but like he loves those guys.
Like
He's got a type.
Charles Grant, William and Mary, day 2, like is a
Yeah.
Stoutland kind of guy, right?
Now that I can see more clearly. Simmons just almost seems too good. Like it's like, what would I make a whole lot better?
Yeah,
what would I make a whole lot better about that guy?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's maybe a weird take, but okay.
Heat Death for $5. Thoughts on the Broncos taking IDL in the second round with both Zach Allen and JFM both on expiring contracts? Maybe Darius Alexander / TJ Sanders. Darius Alexander, yes, absolutely for me. I would love that. TJ Sanders, not in round 2 for me personally. I know a lot of people are really, really big on TJ Sanders. That's a little rich for my blood personally. But Darius Alexander, I would adore as a second round pick for Denver. I'm not even sure he's going to be there, but I would love that for them.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind either. I actually am higher on Sanders. We're both really high on Alexander. I'm higher on Sanders than Brett is. I think either one of those would be really good picks. I see the pass rush production from Sanders, and that's what people want from high picks at interior defensive line, and he can provide it. He already has. So pass rush production in college is a good indicator going to the pros. It's not one of those ones that fall off. And it also means if you don't have it, you can get there if you have elite physical traits, but it doesn't typically tend to go up unless you do.
One of the names cut off for me. Bears Country P. I can't get
Productions.
Productions. There we go.
Yeah.
In my little display, it just says Bears Country P. But I appreciate you, BCP, for $10. Said just sub. Love Brett and EJ, and glad I found this channel by recommendation. Let's you.
Go.
Welcome. Initiate your prayer circle for Ashton Genty, BCP.
Sure.
Storm High Booster for $5. Why did it become uncool to have Tet as wide receiver 1 besides Hunter? I don't know if it became uncool. I just think people watched more of the receivers in this class and realized that there's a bunch of receivers in this class that do different things than Tet, and they do those different things better than Tet does them. And I think it doesn't mean that McMillan is a bad player. In fact, I happen to like McMillan a lot. I think he's a good player.
Yes.
He is not this all-world dominant X receiver like Rome was last year. And I think people, because of the hype around McMillan over the summer, because everybody was, after last year, was like, oh, he's wide receiver 1. Because of the hype about McMillan last summer, and then he put up like a 300-yard game, everybody was like, that's the new Rome Odunze. That's the new, like, insert, wall-to-wall wide receiver 1. That's like a classic prototypical X receiver. And like, that's not what he is. It's a different skill set. He is more of a Z to me. He's a zone beater. He's a yak threat. He's a quarterback's best friend. He's got great hands. It's a different profile. And that's okay. He's a good player, but he's not the all everything number 1 that I think a lot of people, latched onto this time last year. After last year's draft, we're like, who's up next? Tedero McMillan, and like that was the narrative, and we just kind of stuck with it. And then I think when we got to draft season, a bunch of people watched all the other receivers and were like, yeah, some of them are probably better. Shane Saunders for $5. Any chance Barron falls to Green Bay? I doubt it.
Yeah, it's an outside chance, but I doubt it. In this draft especially, somebody's going to look at Jahdae Barron and go, he's too good a combination of versatile playmaker, polished, safe pick, need. It's possible. They would be out of their minds if that happened. That would be such a great value for them.
Also, let's be honest. Will Campbell, knee is not good. Benjamin Morrison, 2 hips and a shoulder. Revel, coming off ACL. Zaire Thomas, love him, didn't test super well, but I care about that less than other people. And then Hunter's going to be long gone. Where's the other corner that's going to go ahead of Jahdae Barron? I don't think there is one. So it's like, what? There's going to be no corner between 2 and 23?
Yeah, you got to be super happy with the medicals. And the problem is they all have medicals.
All of them.
Jahdae.
All of them.
So, not good.
David Galloway for $4.99. Thank you, David. Thoughts on the Colts at 14? Warren and Campbell off the board and not taking Loveland. Parentheses, not that high on him. Who do we choose? So no Warren, no Campbell, not counting Loveland. I would have said Jihad Campbell. Oh, you were talking about Jahad Campbell, not Will Campbell. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Campbell's medicals, no. Loveland also has medicals, but
You mean Will Johnson? Second time you said Will Campbell.
no, he said Warren and Campbell off the board. I thought he meant Will Campbell. I think he meant Jahad Campbell off the board.
Right.
Right.
But you mean Will Johnson as far as the corner that has medicals?
Yes.
Yeah, and you said Will Campbell at the top of the last one. Then
one of the Wills.
4 other corners.
All the Wills.
And I was like, wait, Will Campbell has medicals? I didn't hear that. Oh, Will Johnson. Got it. Okay.
Who do we choose?
I don't know. It's tough. At 14, like, there's not a guard I love unless I'm going to, like, take Zabel. But, like, that seems high to me. Edge, I think they have a lot of the same reservations that other teams do. Linebacker would have been Jahad Campbell, right? And then safety, like Starks, maybe?
Like, that's your break glass in case of emergency pick is Malachi Starks.
I guess, because they're 4 picks later, but they're in the same, they're in the exact same boat as the Bears, which is we went through our first 4 or 5 choices and they're all injured, not available, not great value, don't fit the we're just going to take a good football player and get out of here, because that's what the middle of the first round, when we do redrafts 3 years from now, the middle of this first round is going to be like, you passed on blank for these bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
Like,
Hellscape.
it's going to be that. Unless you just pick the Emekkas of the world.
Here's one.
Yeah.
If medicals check out, Derek Harmon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Boom. Done.
Sure.
Atik Alam for $5. As a Falcons fan, how upset should I be if we take Jahad Campbell over Mike Green? Also, shout out Brett for getting me wrongly hyped for Isaiah Oliver. you've been here for a while. How upset should I be if we take Jahad Campbell over Mike Green? I don't know if I'd say upset. I'd be worried about the medicals, but I don't know if I'd be upset.
It's not from a pure player perspective, and there is no such thing. I just want to reiterate that you're going to see guys fall and you're going to be like, but he's so good. And it's going to be guys like Josh Simmons and Mike Green and lots of these top players who are respectively the top players at their position. Like top left tackle, if you're going by tape, it's Josh Simmons. It's not close. Top edge, after Carter, who's unobtainium for most teams in the NFL, it's Green. He's right up there, right? And they're going to not go where you think they go, because you cannot separate the player from the person. It's a nice thing. It's a very friendly thing to do on tape. We could just go, well, on field, man, he's awesome. The people that are picking them have to live with this guy in the building and as part of the community and whatever else. And so you're going to see some of these guys slide. From a pure player perspective, I wouldn't be thrilled with that. Atlanta needs an edge rusher. Mike Green's a very good edge rusher. Campbell's a great player. He happens to be dinged up. If they're comfortable with his medicals, I wouldn't be super upset. You're still getting a good football player. It's not a bad thing.
Plus, there are other edge rushers you could take on day 2. So
correct.
Henry Woodmansey for $5. Elite name. First of all, happy draft day. Secondly, should the commies trade up? I love Jahdae Barron, but I know there's no shot. You're right, there's no shot. I don't like Maxwell Hairston. I also don't like Maxwell Hairston. So you and I are in lockstep on that one. Should the commies trade up? I think they could go up for Donovan Ezeraku. I think they could make some calls, try to make that happen. If Harmon falls enough because of medicals, I think they could poke around there. I think Walter Nolan, they could poke around there if he gets to a certain range in the late teens. But if they go up, it's going to be for one of these defensive linemen, in my opinion. Maybe McMillan. I could see them do that because he's a really nice complementary weapon for what they already have with Terry and Debo. Ooh, what about Loveland? Going up for Colston Loveland. If the shoulder makes him slip a little bit, I could see that too.
Yeah, no, they'll definitely. Well, they won't definitely. I'm never going to say definitely. They would probably make a call,
but they'd have to go up to 13 because he's not getting past 14. So I don't know.
It depends, right? If your doc says no way, he's getting past 14, and we have no way of knowing that.
Yeah, that's true. Mr. Gray Matter for $5. On a scale of 1 to 10, how batshit insane am I for having Jaden Higgins as my wide receiver 1, excluding Hunter, and Mason Taylor as my TE2?
Yeah, Mason Taylor, I'm going to give you,
That's a 9. That's a 9 for me.
I would be careful with your mental health status. Mason Taylor is TE2. Jaden Higgins, I had very high till late in the rankings. He ended up as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for me, but he was at 2 or 3 for a while, again, behind Hunter. And I just kind of came to see that, like, if you believe that about Jaden Higgins, you better believe they're going to play him in the slot.
Yeah.
Because in the slot, he could justify that ranking. He could. Outside, he would be a historical outlier to justify that ranking. But a lot of the deficiencies are going to get covered up if he plays in the slot. And I actually think that's a great place for him to play, but you better believe they're going to play him in the slot at the new destination if that's your ranking for him. I love him. He's a great player. I don't think you're crazy for that one. The Mason Taylor thing. Maybe moving towards Loopy.
Mason Taylor TE2 is up there. For
me, that's
up there.
Real high. Yeah.
Which, of course, means he actually will be the
He's going to be great. And all pro.
Yeah,
for sure.
Boaz for $4.99. Boaz? 2763. You know when to ask ChatGPT to just answer in one-word answers? Who is your singular favorite player in this class?
Genty. Yeah, for me, it's Genty.
Favorite player in this class?
It's a hard question. We had to just answer this for the 33rd team, and I just picked somebody that I thought was good.
I picked Higgins because of the fun factor, but I don't want to say him twice in a row.
Yeah, that's fine. There's 300 guys here.
I'll go.
I thought Josh was very brave for saying Omar Norman Lott, especially as a fantasy guy who focuses on offense. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, but he's a degenerate just like us.
I know, but I still thought it was cool.
Chris Paul. I'll go with that one.
Oh yeah, Poop.
Just sure. Favorite, right? Just favorite.
He's a dude. He's a great dude. Like hanging out with him for 15 minutes. Like he would be a fun guy to have dinner with. Like, yeah, he's a cool dude.
I will root for him forever. All right, last question here. Between the Pylons for $10. Thank you, Between the Pylons. You guys put out premium content and deserve all the credit in the world. I feel like there could be some big surprises late in the first this year. Who do you think could be the quote-unquote shock of the first round? Would you consider Milroe a shock at this point? He's a quarterback.
I still kind of would. I know he got invited to the draft. I know there's all this potential, but you remember a couple of years ago when everybody started getting hyped up for the quarterback class, and they're like, I know the quarterbacks aren't good, but 6 are going to go in the top 15, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody like came back to their senses and went, no, that's not a good idea. Like, I think this year's going to be a little bit like that. Like, I think, yeah, Shedeur maybe to the Steelers. I can see that being a very natural fit. Obviously, Cam at the top. I don't think anybody probably goes in between. And then if you're taking a third quarterback out of this quarterback class in the first round, is it Miller? I think it's probably Jackson Dart. Maybe it's Will Howard. Like, if you believe in that.
I just the more we talk it through, I'm like, do we have to?
No, we don't. That's the whole thing. We
really
could absolutely go out with 2. In my mind, we could go out with 1, the very first one, and then Shedeur as an early day 2 pick, right? I mean, Drew Brees was the first pick of the second round. Like, it could totally happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Shedeur, with all the hype and everything else, will probably go somewhere in the end of the first round. Do we need a third one? No, we could totally get out of here without a third one. And everybody would be fine. And I think, value-wise, the league kind of goes, okay, guys, settle out. Like, we all realize we shouldn't be spending picks on this. Like, it's the guy at the table, like, at 3:00 in the morning when everybody's drunk going, no, don't bet the whole thing. Like, just put half of that in your pocket, and then we're going to catch an Uber.
I think if we're talking about more realistic shock at the first round scenarios, the one that we kind of talked about in the beginning of this stream, Travion going before Hampton, I think that would be the shock of the first round.
Yep, I could see that. And again, teams are so focused on explosion, and if you're just looking at explosion, like, and the other stuff too, but
it's not even, it's the pass protection. I think the pass protection is what would do it.
Well, it's pass protection, and you're still getting, like, Trayvon's fast as hell. Like,
Yeah.
he's always been fast as hell. He is one of the fastest backs in this class, and he can get you those kind of, Jahmyr Gibbs type plays, right? People are looking for that where, hey, I'm going to run it a little bit more, but I need efficiency in my running. And efficiency in my running means occasionally, or more than occasionally, you rip off a 40-yarder for a touchdown from the run game. I need that. And Trayvon's going to do that more often than Omarion Hampton. Not by much, but he will.
Last one, I promise. Because we only have one more. Jared for $5. Howie, worst case is Scorton/Amos. Best case is Nolan/Harmon/Michael/Shamar. Was that all? Likeliest case is trade out of round 1 for whoever takes QB3 or OT5. Go Birds. Honestly, your worst case sounds pretty freaking good between Scorton and Amos.
No,
so
Scorton would be
I think the Eagles are in a weirdly very powerful position here because 32 is like in the middle of the sweet spot of this class.
I was going to say it's where it starts to get good again. And I've said this for a couple of months now. I don't love 10. 10 is get a good football player and get past it and get to 39 and 41 for the Bears.
Yeah.
Because 39 and 41 value lines up. There's a bunch of good players. Those choices are easy and multiple. Like, I could pick this running back. I could pick either of these edges. I could pick a guy that fell out of the first round and is still here. Like, 39 and 41 are awesome. And 32 for the Eagles is right about where that stuff starts to line up. And you put all these players of the Eagles and you go, oh, the Eagles did it again. Scorton goes to the Eagles. Give me a break. Like, of course. Like, and everybody you put there seems to be an of course, right? So it really is like, they're just going to sit there and let the draft come to them, and that's going to be fine. So, yeah, your quote-unquote worst-case scenarios are all pretty good as opposed to, like, what we're talking about at 10. Like, well, my fifth option has a shoulder injury, so I guess I'm just going to pick somebody I don't need, which is realistic at this point.
Fun stream. Merry Draftsmas, everybody.
Merry Draftsmas.
We'll see you back here again tomorrow night, 1/2 hour before round 1 starts.
Actually, we go an hour before round 1 starts.
Before round 1 starts, which I think is...
That's historically true.
I'm trying to remember when the exact time is. How about this? Just Google whenever round 1 starts and then subtract an hour.
That's right. We'll be on 60 minutes before that on day 1. On days 2 and 3, it's only 30 minutes.
Yes. And we will have all sorts of fun goodies for you. Again, we'll have stats and financial information and upcoming free agents for every single team as we talk through all the scenarios and all the fits. We've got schematic information, and there will be no pick tipping, so don't worry about that. Like, we're going to do our best to keep this as a spoiler-free stream. We're all going to find out who gets taken together and analyze it as best we can with no commercial breaks throughout the entire evening. So use us as your second screen experience. I got nothing else. EJ, you got nothing else?
I'm good to go. I got to go write some defensive back reports tonight, some offensive line reports tomorrow morning, and then the big show is on.
Oh, hour before coverage is 2 hours before pick 1. Okay, how about an hour before the first team is on the clock? How about that?
That's right. When the draft officially opens,
yes,
we will be on 60 minutes before that. Not all the 5 hours of pregame. We're not going on an hour before that because we'd be eating cornflakes with you guys.
Toast.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to get out of here. We'll see you guys tomorrow night.